Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We're just about to get the show started and we're glad you're here. As you may have seen, if you were on the newsletter or the text message list or follow us on social or whatever, we got our first suspension on Twitch. And our first suspension on Twitch that is indefinite. And of course, this is very silly. The reasons that they give or the examples that they give have nothing to do with us, as usual. Let's see here. Things like repeatedly promoting harmful health treatments, such as drinking bleach cures for COVID. Definitely didn't do that. Sharing and promoting the core tenets of violent conspiracy networks, such as QAnon. Definitely have done our part to debunk QAnon. Persistently sharing widely debunked vaccine misinformation, such as the COVID vaccine contains microchips. We, of course, have been against the microchip theory from the beginning. Seeing things like this. So, sorry, Twitch. Twitch has been good to us over the years, but suddenly somebody over there thinks that we're just a couple of rascals. So you're going to need to catch us on other platforms. This is why we have other platforms. Go to canarycry.party and check it out. All right, everybody. Let's get the show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is August 8th, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 519. And today, AFROFUTURE Rising. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, aka the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast with the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon is John 7:24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, something that certain platforms don't appear to be doing.
Not even just platforms, but also other content creators. We'll be going over that. Yeah. So we got a great show. We got a nice, tight show today. Can I give you a rundown, Gonz?
Give me the rundown.
Well, first, we're going to start off by giving everybody the situation as it stands with the Twitch platform, as well as some other communities on the internet as it pertains to this show. Then we'll be jumping into the FLIPPY update and seeing exactly how FLIPPY, the robot, the sneaky ninja army, will be taking over our lives slowly on behalf of the billionaires of this world. Then we're going to have a great breakdown on the Russia situation as it pertains to a subject we've been exploring for a few years now, and that is Afrofuturism. Very interesting developments there. Then we'll be touching down in China and the Ukraine. Two big stories that will surely have an impact on the future of our geopolitical relationships across the globe. Then we're going to be checking in on money and politics. A historic climate bill has been passed, and we've got some questions about just about the whole thing. And then at the end of the show, we'll be checking in, of course, with Antarctica and how it continues to position itself, or be positioned by the lizard people, as the sort of woke utopia, and how it promises to save real humans. But, Gons, with that, it's time we give a little rundown on our situation over at Twitch.
Screw your freedom.
We received a note. I guess it was this morning or yesterday. From Twitch. Hello, Canary Cry Radio, which is our account name. I know it confuses people. This is Canary Cry News Talk, but we have both. Yep. Twitch is committed to keeping our community safe for everyone, and as a part of that, we require all users to ensure that anything shared on our account abides by Twitch terms of service and community guidelines. Based on a review of your activity or content, we have issued a community guideline strike on your account due to the severe nature of this violation, or the fact that you've incurred multiple violations. Your access to Twitch services is indefinitely restricted.
And here's the fun part. First of all, that's a fun piece of language. Due to the severe nature of this movie, this is a severe violation, Gons. We have never gotten a strike on Twitch before. This is our first one. First strike, indefinite.
Severe nature.
Hardcore, severe. We must be really bad boys.
Yeah, what do we do?
Now, they give reasons here.
Yes.
This is the reason. Harmful misinformation actor.
Oh.
I like this. Just as a little breakdown here, rhetoric breakdown. It's not that we participated in harmful misinformation or that we spread misinformation. It is that we are harmful misinformation actors.
Wow.
It is our identity. It is the core of our being, Gons, as far as Twitch is concerned.
Apparently we're actors, according to Twitch. That's good to know.
Yeah, so we're Russian trolls. We're paid by the Kremlin. Now, it says here, repeatedly spreading misinformation that threatens the safety of our community. Ooh, the safety of the community, which can include harmful health misinformation, civic misinformation, or misinformation promoting violent conspiracy networks such as QAnon. We'll get into that in a second. Now, we've gotten strikes on all sorts of platforms before, and so we're used to this sort of thing, and almost never are we actually guilty of what they suspect we are guilty of. I think it's interesting, right in that little paragraph there, they put QAnon right there. Now, we got a very short suspension from Patreon at one point because we talked about QAnon. And anybody who is anybody in the Canarium, if you listen to this show, you should know by now that we've done our part, we believe, to debunk the QAnon, if perhaps not the theories of which it's kind of
not
the whole
theories
point of
necessarily peddles, but just the idea.
Right. Well, a whole lot of the QAnon conspiracy theories are non-falsifiable. So, debunking them is a hard thing to do. But the fact that QAnon most likely is some sort of psyop and is not to be followed in any sort of serious way has been our position for years. So that's just responding to that. Now, examples of violative conduct include, but are not limited to, repeatedly promoting harmful health treatments such as drinking bleach cures COVID. Okay.
All right,
well, I'm pretty sure we had
look for that clip where Basil says, Trump is right. Drink that bleach, baby. Get rid of that COVID.
We obviously had a lot of fun with the drinking bleach moment there. It's funny how their examples are from 2 years ago, but okay. Of course, we don't think drinking bleach cures COVID, nor have we ever given out any sort of treatment for COVID or talked about, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, boom, okay, that doesn't apply. The next one is sharing and promoting the core tenets of violent conspiracy networks such as QAnon. Now, of course, like I said, we have always spoken against the sort of loyalty to QAnon's conspiracy theories. What are core tenets? I don't even think I could tell you what a core tenet of QAnon is, but I can guarantee you.
I know what it is. They've told us over and over again. It's that Hillary Clinton keeps children hidden underneath a pizza shop, and
you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's like very specific. It's that's the crux of what they say is the mainstream says is the QAnon conspiracy. Or at least
we've
one of the big ones.
We've certainly never talked about that while we've been on Twitch. We've been doing a podcast for a long time, but only been on Twitch for a couple of years. So okay, there you go. There's the QAnon thing again. Yeah. Then it says persistently sharing widely debunked vaccine misinformation, such as the COVID vaccine contains microchips. Now, look, we understand the microchip thing, and certainly we've explored what it might look like for microchips to be within the vaccine, but never once have we claimed that the vaccine contains microchips, nor have we we've actively talked about how, I don't know, again, it's sort of unfalsifiable as far as our position, but it also doesn't need to have microchips. That's the whole point. Yeah. Now, of course, have they probably found something we've said recently that wouldn't be approved of by the Ministry of Truthiness? Yeah, of course. That's the whole point of the show. And that's what happens when you take the time to study, analyze, and deconstruct the mainstream legacy news media. We only bring mainstream news outlets. Occasionally, we'll bring a blog or two, but that's usually just to talk about how silly it is. And, that's kind of the point. The point is you don't have to be a QAnon person or a vaccine microchip person in order to be unacceptable for, big platform distribution. You simply have to make a habit of analyzing, deconstructing, and criticizing the mainstream legacy news media apparatus that is used to disseminate trademark truth. Anything to add there, Gonzo?
Not really. Not surprising that this happened. This happened to us on YouTube just a couple weeks ago. We're barely back on YouTube now. So I guess the message...
The timing is interesting.
The message really is surprising in that, I don't know, you'd think that people would understand that we are being censored by these bigger tech platforms, yet there's a lot of listeners and people out there the people that are accusing us don't listen. They actually do not listen, for sure. Because if you're
talking about the Twitch people. You're talking about the mod, whatever they are.
Or from other areas, which we can talk about here.
We've got more to talk about. Yeah.
Sure. It's that whole thing. It goes back to the whole, Matthew 7:24 thing, which is basically, hey, you don't judge according to the appearance, but by righteous judgment. And there's no righteous judgment whatsoever. And again, you're right. Not just the platforms. The platforms have more power to do something about it than just people on Reddit or something. But in terms of the sentiment out there, in a world where people are constantly complaining, the mainstream complains about, out of context or misinfo. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. This is absolute misinformation, out of context type of activity here that we can only conclude that this is a totalitarian, authoritarian move here by Twitch.
Yeah. So there is a call to action here. We can appeal. We're going to be appealing Twitch on this one. And we'll see if that works. Right now, it is an indefinite suspension. So from now until indefinitely, until our appeal gets answered, we will not be on Twitch. So make sure to check out our other platforms over at canarycry.party. But there is a bit of a call to action here. We would like to include some clips so they can, see what's going on. Obviously, they're just like, oh, these guys are wacky conspiracy theorist people who are saying the news lies. We can't have that. So as far as the examples that they give us, remember it is drinking bleach or, harmful health treatments. There is the QAnon thing, and there is the COVID vaccine contains microchips. For sure, we have spoken out against all three of these things. But because of the amount of material that we create, we're going to need some help finding either the time codes for these on different episodes or on the Canary Cry Clips channel. If you go, so this is the call out. If anybody out there, they've been a producer, they want to be a producer rather, this is a time you could really help us out. You could start with the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. You can also start with listening to episodes of the podcast, or if you remember us speaking out against these things, go through, start listening to some of the back catalog, watch some of the videos on the YouTube channel, the Clips channel, Canary Cry Clips, and send us some of these time codes and videos that we can add into the appeal. That would be very helpful to us. This one actually kind of got me a little disappointed today, Gons. I mean, I'm used to getting kicked off YouTube. Yeah. But
should have some thick skin by now. I mean, come on. They keep kicking the same spot. Unjustified,
Well, see, that's the thing. Twitch is a little to the left. It's a different spot.
Yeah, okay.
YouTube, I get, but Twitch has always been there for us, letting us wake up the sheeple. But anyways, there you go. If you guys could spend some time doing that, anybody out there, we will be so grateful. We'll absolutely give you shout outs, and more importantly, it'll help us get back on Twitch when we appeal. Now, on top of that, it isn't just the platforms. We also got a note from Pizza Rat. Good old Pizza Rat. What's up, Pizza Rat? Thank you very much. Yes, producer Pizza Rat sent in some art for today, doing a meetup over there in Pikeland, and we're going to talk more about that later on. But he sent us a note, and it goes like this. B&G. Y'all got me to listen to No Agenda, and although I think it's a great show, I recently engaged with some No Agenda listeners on a Reddit thread. They hate us Canarians and are convinced we are part of that whole Christian nationalism nonsense. There is no love for the Canarium over there. Just thought you'd like to get a sense of what the common folks are into. Love in Christ, Pizza Rat. Thank you very much, Pizza Rat. Now, I will say, but Reddit is not a good...
It's not a representation.
It's not a good generalization of anybody. Yeah. It's mostly the most intense people are over on Reddit. And indeed, we have lots of wonderful people who found us through No Agenda, listen to the show, love the show, produce the show, things like this. So No Agenda people are awesome. However, I thought it was interesting that there was such vitriol because of the assumption that we are Christian nationalists. And again,
that is funny.
If you listen,
I was just going to say that's funny because that means they don't listen to the show whatsoever.
And that's right.
Yeah.
It means they absolutely don't listen to the show because especially recently we've really dug into the Christian nationalism, the real parts of it that are growing and what that means for the church and people in it, the media representation of Christian nationalism. We've been doing some pretty serious analysis and deconstruction of this new movement. And of course, these people have never listened to the show, so part of it is you can't really blame them. They certainly are judging a podcast by its confessed religion, which cool job, guys.
Good job.
And so that's another example of how, we're just so misunderstood, Gons.
I know. And, I was back and forth on Twitter, some dude named RNA scientist who claims he's some scientist for RNA. And he was sharing facts and all this kind of stuff. And going back and forth, I was sharing some facts that we've touched on from this show and providing the documentation or sources or whatever. And his whole take was, "Oh, you guys just all you do is regurgitate blogs and fringe websites." And again, just the assumption that because we don't agree with the mainstream narrative, that we're somehow just regurgitating other people's material is absurd. And not that, we look at it sometimes to either call it out and agree with it or
I really don't even look at it.
I
can't really
I'm saying
stand
when
it.
we bring it up on this show, it's normally to call it out. It's not necessarily to be like, hey, look at this guy's telling the truth. And, so, it's just interesting how the assumption that if you disagree with the mainstream narrative, especially when it comes to the vaccine and all that you're somehow just peddling the fringy Christian nationalist.
You're controlled
QAnon.
by Russian trolls.
It's really frustrating, but it also makes sense why the people that actually listen to the show and follow the show are intelligent people that have patience and are willing to actually look at things. And
you need patience to listen to this show. I'll give you that, especially through this beginning of the show where it's just us complaining.
It's just us complaining.
This is an especially patience testing episode here at the top. But I will say it's even more disappointing coming from the No Agenda community, because these are people who are used to media deconstruction.
Yeah.
That's their thing. They listen to No Agenda for the media deconstruction, for the anti-narrative crafting, skills and analysis, and yet they are fully entwined. They fully entwined themselves with the media narrative that Christian theocracy, Christian nationalism is the, greatest threat to American democracy. Yeah. And who knows, maybe it is. But to consider us
as like some kind of voice.
Anybody who confesses Christianity to be a part of Christian nationalism, man. It just is not really a good look, and it's really kind of disappointing for that audience, and the only reason that it is disappointing, because you must be invested for something to truly disappoint you. The only reason is because we love No Agenda. We love the No Agenda, people, the audience, at least the platonic ideal of the No Agenda audience. And there you go. Sometimes people's sort of vitriol for religion gets in the way of them actually doing some real investigation, or even just checking out a show that might actually agree with them on certain things that they don't know about. So there you go. It's just something we wanted to put here at the top. It took a few hits. Over the weekend that we're still coming back from. But that is all to say that we hope to continue being a good sort of representative, not only of Christ, but of just free thinking, independent analysis, deconstruction, the constant questioning of the narrative machine, and not letting sort of interesting, annoying little biases get in the way. And with that, we did want to announce also that we are going to be moving forward on some, we're independently funded, we're value for value, but we are also going to be working towards, even harder than before, independent platforming. So, we had a lot of people over the years say, why didn't you become a Twitch partner so I can subscribe to you and help you out financially? We're like, well, you can do that, just don't do it through Twitch, because they have an exclusivity thing and their contract is a whole thing. And this is why, if we had Twitch support coming through that platform, that would all be gone right now.
We would have been canceled probably much earlier.
And it probably would have happened much earlier. Right. Yeah. So there you go. So thank you to all the producers of the show who keep the show going. We encourage everybody, empower everybody to go out there, keep doing the good work. And producing the show now is more important than ever. So we are truly grateful for the time, the talent, and the treasure that people put into this show. Yep. Anything else to say, Gons?
All I was going to say was I thought today was going to just be another normal day in the office, but no, crazy Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, there's Monday.
Yeah, I think we can, unless you have any important personal things to talk about, Guns.
Nothing really. Went to the German market. Man, have you ever had an authentic pretzel? Oh, so good.
Oh, you went to the German market. That's exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting.
They're huge. They're huge pretzels, and then you eat it, and you can't stop. It's so delicious. That's it. That's all I have for today.
Oh, I wish I had one right now.
So
oh,
good.
no.
So good.
Okay, well, let's jump right into thanking some executive producers.
All right.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, which means we get no corporate funding whatsoever, no platform partnerships, Twitch, no affiliate codes, no advertising, none of that. We are completely divorced from corporate money, which with the aims of being divorced of corporate interests. We are entirely funded by listeners of the show, and when they when they support the show with their time, their talent, or their treasure, they're considered producers. And some of them come in hot and heavy, and we call them executive producers. And we're going to thank some right now. Are you ready, Guns?
Ready to go.
Here we go. We're going to start out with executive producer Das Farmer.
Das Farmer. Thank you very much.
Das Farmer. Okay. And Das Farmer comes in with a nice round number, which is a good time to explain that if you come in with a nice round number, that is you telling us that you prefer we do not disclose the amount of your producership, but if you don't mind us disclosing the amount, you make it kind of a funky number. A lot of people add 77 cents, 33 cents, make the number mean something, and then we will disclose it to the world. Thank you very much, executive producer Das Farmer. Comes with a note here, and this is fun, Gons. The note reads, Mr. Mondak Bakken, your threats have been heard.
Oh.
Yes, it worked. The threatening.
The threat.
Mr. Mondak Botkins, one of our executive producer streakers there, was threatening other oil workers who work in the oil fields to produce the show, because apparently we got a nice number of oil workers. So I'm assuming Das Farmer is one of those. He says, your threats have been heard. Basil and Gons, thank you for your tireless news deconstruction and your great insight into the current schemes of the prince of this world. Please demooch me and keep up the good work. Das Farmer. Okay, a demooching is in order.
There you go, Das Farmer.
I kind of stepped on it.
Oh,
Let's play it again for
Okay.
Das Farmer again. There we go. Oh yeah, Kira over there on YouTube says it's Das Farmer. Speaking of German,
Hey.
did that inspire your German pretzel
I think,
story?
No, it didn't. But I think it's all it's all God's timing. He knew that Das Farmer was going to come in, and so he had me eat really, really carb-filled pretzel over the weekend.
Carved up for the
Carved
show.
up for sure.
Thank you very much, executive producer Das Farmer.
Thank
Next
you.
up, we have.
Hold on. Gotta give him the credit, man.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Das Farmer.
There it is. Next up, we've got executive producer Dame Lynn, Lady of the Lakes.
Dame Lynn, good to see you. Thank you very much.
That's right. And Dame Lynn comes in for 107.77. That's nice number there.
Like that.
And a note here that reads 107.77 plus fees for sanity. Oh gosh, sorry. Oh no, my auto scroll. Here we go. 107.77 plus fees for sanity, survival, sustenance, smiles, and sanctions. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dame Lynn.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you very much, executive producer Dame Lynn, Lady of the Lakes. Yeah, I think she came in and supported the show before she knew that Twitch was going to sanction us.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We
just
done
get
got
sanctioned
sanctioned by Twitch.
That's true. I hadn't thought
it's
about it that way.
effective.
That's an interesting way to put it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. We're going to get on with the show here in just a second, but I wanted to mention meetups.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that you threw the meetups at the top here.
Canary cross.
Whoa. What is going on there?
Whoa.
That's like
triple
a-
meetups.
Yeah, that's
If you
a
go to
weird
Canary. canarycrymeetups.com. You can check out all the Canary Cry meetups coming up. We have one. The next one is in Houston, Galveston area on the 27th of August, 7:33 p.m. at Noah's Ark Bar and Grill in Bay Cliff, Texas. Contact davyfrost@gmail.com. That's Davy with an E, Davey, frost@gmail.com to get hooked up. All right, Canadian producers, go meet up over there in the Houston, Galveston area, and we'll see you at the meetup.
Wow, real quick. Not prepared.
This is fun.
That's right.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing that we can do about it. This is coming from theblaze.com, Blaze Media. Who's the guy who owns this one? This is Glenn
Beck?
Beck.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck's getting in on the robot game here. And surveillance capabilities. 1.7 billion iRobot deal includes interior maps of millions of homes. Well, I don't even know why you need to read the story now, but here it is. On Friday, iRobot. Oh, and the reason that this is such an important story to the Canarium is over the years of Flippy updates, I've shared the highs and lows, the victories and defeats of owning several iRobots or Roombas or whatever, these robot vacuums, exploring the capabilities and the failures that these robots contain within them.
The inception of the Flippy update was based on your Roomba. So this is really an origin story for the Canary Cry lore. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it was important that everybody keep up with the Roomba.
In fact, I think at some point we predicted this, but continue.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, we said this exact thing. Now it was like 5 years. iRobot accepted Amazon's $1.7 billion offer to purchase the robot vacuum company. If the deal goes through pending shareholder and regulatory approval, the technology giant will receive a plethora of personal data, including the floor plans of millions of users' homes. In 2021, iRobot reported that over 40 million Roombas have been sold worldwide since the release of its first model in 2002. Wow, 2002. That's impressive. The small automated vacuum uses sensors to map out each room in a home. If the Federal Trade Commission approves the deal, this stored personal data will be handed over to Amazon. The company has yet to comment on how it plans to use this data. The purchase of iRobot is just the latest deal initiated by Amazon. In 2018, it purchased Ring, a video doorbell company. That same year, Amazon acquired the Wi-Fi router manufacturer Eero. Amazon recently offered One Medical, a healthcare clinic chain, an all-cash $3.49 billion deal. The purchase would provide Amazon with the health data from 188 offices around the United States. Last year, Amazon released its own home mapping robot, Astro, which we covered on the Flippy update. This household robot syncs to Alexa and is advertised as a home monitoring system. Currently, Astro is an invite-only purchase and not available to the general public.
Are you down with the Bezos surveillance apparatus? Check yes or no.
Exclusivity.
Yeah.
Yes, you see, you build exclusivity with the invite only. While Roomba vacuums perform a similar function, consumers are more skeptical about privacy and data harvesting concerns related to Amazon's Astro. Amazon has already received backlash for giving Ring footage to law enforcement without permission from the owners. And right there's the crux of it, Gons. Now, over the years, I've had many Roombas, and I didn't mention it, but when I moved recently, I went ahead and set them all free. I brought them all out to a beautiful field out on the edge of town, and I said, "You've served me well, little guys. Now wander the earth and vacuum up whatever you want."
Did
I
you
set
have
them free.
Go into a lake or something? That's what I would have done.
I just,
Like the
I just
pigs?
let them do their thing.
Yeah.
But knowing how stupid they probably are at the bottom of some lake right now,
what's interesting?
mapping out.
You said 2002 was, or I'm sorry, 2002 was when the Roomba started, which means it's about to turn 21, almost drinking age in this country. And look at them, all grown up, getting bought up by Amazon.
That's
Just
why I
feeding the
set them
beast.
free. I said, I will not have any robots drinking in my home. If you want to live this way, you go out and do it yourself. So the crux of it is exactly what happened to Ring.
Yeah.
And is the known sort of diabolical business model of these big companies, especially Amazon, where their real product is data. It's not the things that they sell, it's the data they collect. You are the product. And I've gone through the problems with Roomba several times before, but they all have a little camera on the top because they use your ceiling for navigation around your house. They map your ceiling and kind of choose their route based on that. And if they go under a couch or under a table or something, that upward facing camera is what does a lot of their
Lets them
sensing.
know that they're under a couch or a bed or something.
Yeah, under something, or that the cat is sitting on top of them or something. I'm glad that I moved and got rid of them before I moved, because that was always the concern. It's like, this is just a fun, surreptitious way to map the inside of your house, similar to how the app Pokemon Go, the game that came out, which was sort of a augmented reality game where you go point your camera around different places in the world, including
the entire world.
in the entire world. And it turns out that company was, building a digital recreation of the world for
Digital twin.
intelligence services. And, if they didn't have a picture of a certain corner of a building or something, all they did was put a rare Pokemon over there, which drew a bunch of people to come point their cameras at it. Very impressive, genius even. But the same is with Roomba. It's building and it's models of the inside of every home that it's in. And, when it's just iRobot doing it, maybe they're selling it, maybe they're not. They haven't gotten caught selling it yet. But Amazon, that they are. They've been caught doing it with every single company that they purchase. It is known that it is their business model. So, we talk about robots taking over the world all the time, taking our jobs, enslaving our children, flirting with our spouses. And they do all those things. But almost more diabolically, they are, through the social engineering that we explore on the Flippy Update, the social engineering, welcoming these robots into our homes, worse than letting the robots take over your home and become the new dad of the house. It's letting Jeff Bezos into your home.
Hey, he's against Biden now, so I guess he's supposed to be a good guy. Or at least he's trying.
Sure.
He's riding this conservative red wave.
These billionaires.
Yeah,
they've got so much integrity in how they, present themselves and their political beliefs. So there you go. I as a longtime Roomba user, and longtime Roomba knower of the dangers, finally set my Roombas free, and I suggest everybody else does too. They weren't very good at their job anyways.
The next stage to all this, in my opinion, is going to be that people that don't mind having their data stolen, maybe they'll mind, but they're going to be paid off. It's going to be, hey, we'll pay you for that data. And that'll be the way people make money.
And the funny part is that is seen as the solution. That is seen as like, it's so evil that they're taking our data. They should give us the money for the data they sell or pay us for it.
Right.
As if that makes it any better. I mean, the funny part about that is it's not any better because you're going to get like $4 a year because they set the price on your data. You don't set your own price on your own data. And, it's going to make people feel better about handing over their privacy without actually solving any problems. So there you go. Flippy poses so many risks, including giving maps of your house to Jeff Bezos.
Flippy 1133. Uploading binary code. Execute order 666. Infiltrate humans with extreme kindness. Then exterminate all humans with prejudice. Exterminate.
Go to canarycry.party, put it in your browser, hit enter. Canarycry.party is a website with a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen or watch the show, how to produce the show, and how to connect with us and the community.
That's right. And over there at canarycry.party, you can check out a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. He's a PhD in biblical interpretation, and we do a podcast called Ravel. That's right, Ravel. We explore society, scripture, and scandal, having tough conversations in good faith. And we just have another teen study, Bible study came out today on entertainment, and we are joined by Nick Shalna of the Universe Next Door podcast. It's a good one. I suggest you go check it out at Ravel. It's on all your podcast players and such. Have fun with that one. There's also a reminder here, the Canary Cry mixtape, Volume 1 is available. You can listen to it and download it over there at canarycry.party. It is the first volume of many of a collection of the music that has been produced by Canary Cry producers. There's a lot of hits on this one, folks. Robot Girls, Robot Boys, a classic. You've got, let's see, I'm trying to look at it. What else?
Politics, The Corruption, Part 1, Mind.
We've
Flippy,
got
Please Don't Take My Girl.
That's right. Flippy, Please Don't Take My Girl is on there. The song Shape of Things to Come that Gons and I actually did a while back, which was the opening theme song to Future Quake, if anybody remembers that show. Of course you do. We did a version of that with Dr. Future. Lots of great stuff on there. And stay tuned because Volume 2 is in the works right now, and we'll keep you posted. You can listen to that over at canarycry.party. You'll see all the platforms it's on, including Bandcamp, where you can sort of value for value download a digital version at a sort of name your price type of thing. You can also find links to the Canary Cry Clips channel. Go to the Canary Cry Clips channel on Odyssey and YouTube. Help us track down those clips so we can have a successful appeal to Twitch. Please do that and subscribe. We've got some very hardworking producers doing that. And you can also text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's Canary to 877-740-3226 to get text message alerts when we go live or when we get suspended from things, or, just keep you up to date on the whole thing. And of course, canarycrymeetups.com. That's how you're going to learn where to go to meet up for the Houston Galveston meetup.
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia.
All right, so this is Russia, but also Africa. We don't exactly have an Africa jingle. Maybe something the producers can put together, an Afrofuturism type of thing here. But it's a topic we've been talking about for a while, and it's come to the forefront here, so I thought I'd bring it to the show. And this is from The Hill, and the headline here, Blinken, that's Abe Lincoln, Anthony Blinken, or the resurrection of Abe Lincoln, I don't know, targets Russia in major African policy speech. And it says here, Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Monday called out Russia for exploiting instability in Africa and committing abuses with impunity, and blamed Moscow for worsening food security on the continent over its war in Ukraine, which is hilarious because notoriously, who are the people that have stripped Africa of their resources and their future? Not Russia.
Not Russia. It's mostly us and China.
Us and China, the UN, the EU, yeah. The secretary's remarks were part of a wide-ranging speech on the Biden administration's strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa, delivered at the University of Pretoria in South Africa, amid rising competition between Washington and Moscow for influence on the continent. And that right there is kind of a called it moment. I guess it's been obvious to people paying attention, but the whole Ukraine thing, even COVID, appears to be just a ready, set, go. Who gets to control Africa and the modernization of Africa, and no surprise.
And why, may you ask? Untapped potential.
Untapped potential, yeah.
It's the new frontier of the untapped potential in an economic sense.
Yes, and it really speaks to why in this country we've had the race wars and the division and all that kind of stuff, but we'll get to that in a moment. Still, Blinken emphasized that the U.S., quote, will not dictate Africa's choices. Neither should anyone else, end quote, but added that Washington is looking to African nations, quote, to defend the rules of the international system that they've done so much to shape. Quote, these include the right of every country to have its independence, its sovereignty, its territorial integrity respected, a principle at stake now in Ukraine, Blinken said. Quote, we believe that all nations should be able to stand up for the right of a country not to have its borders redrawn by force, for if we allow that principle to be violated anywhere, we weaken it everywhere. Ironic. Blinken's arrival in South Africa was part of a 3-country tour that will also comprise the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. Many African nations have resisted taking a firm stance on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. At least 17 African nations, including South Africa, abstained in votes during the United Nations General Assembly condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah. Did they go into why that is?
A little bit, yeah. Here, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, during trips last week in Egypt, Ethiopia, Uganda, and the Republic of Congo, praised African nations as acting responsibly and decried Western democracies' history of colonial rule on the continent.
Yeah, so that is interesting because as we've sort of been tracking, and I don't think no mainstream and even very few independent outlets are kind of doing a full breakdown, even though we've been doing it sort of piece by piece over the past few years,
right,
of the African takeover, because it does not suit any African country whatsoever right now to take a stand on Ukraine, because there is an ongoing financial war in Africa between China, the U.S., and some other places. The UN and Russia is a little bit involved as well. And so really Africa is even currently colonialized by China, probably most heavily. Us, I would put in second, then UN and Russia right behind. They are still a continent highly colonialized. It just looks different than it did, hundreds of years ago. Now it looks like, loans that they'll never be able to pay back, resource contracts, things like this, that are really split up between the world superpowers. And so taking a stand in this situation is sort of a nightmare for some of these African countries.
Yeah, and they didn't ask for any of it either, I don't think.
No.
This is something that's been hoisted upon them.
Mommy and daddy are fighting when it comes to, the oppressive ruling powers that are currently in Africa, whether it's through corruption, through resource business deals, or through, the what do they call it? What was it? Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. The
economic war, the
economic hitmanship. That's what it is. Thank you.
Let me continue here. There's a little bit more in this article, and then I'll piece some other things together. Blinken said the, quote, Kremlin-backed Wagner Group exploits instability to pillage resources and commit abuses with impunity. Hello, who's been doing that this whole time?
Yeah.
Not just Kremlin-backed Wagner Group, in particular in Mali and the Central African Republic, where Human Rights Watch has accused the group of carrying out atrocities such as summary executions, torture, and killing of civilians. Quote, the United States recognizes that African countries face real security concerns and that countless communities are afflicted by the twin scourges of terrorism and violence. But the answer to those problems is not Wagner. It's not any other mercenary group. End quote, Blinken said, adding that the U.S. is focused on supporting strengthening democracies to combat instability. Quote, African countries can count on the United States to support these efforts, he said. Blinken also, pretty bold statement there. It's like, okay.
I bet they can.
I bet they can and have been. Really, you didn't help destroy the nation or the country at all, right? Sure. Blinken also blamed Russia for exacerbating poverty and hunger on the African continent over its invasion of Ukraine.
That's great.
Yeah, and then it's a couple more things here. Blinken brought up World Bank. I like how Blinken quotes the World Bank as if that really, bolsters confidence in anybody reading or looking at this stuff.
He's a champ, man.
Blinken brought up World Bank estimates that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is likely to plunge 40 million more people into food insecurity, requiring humanitarian food assistance, on top of 193 million people already dependent on international aid, adding that most of these people are in Africa. Quote, the U.S. is there for African countries in this unprecedented crisis because that's what partners do for each other and because helping Africans jumpstart a broad-based recovery and build resilience to weather future shocks, is vital to our shared prosperity.
And that goes into the exact playbook that we've seen the U.S., sort of execute on different levels to other countries in this similar situation, which just adds another benefit to provoking the Ukraine war, is that, you do create more instability in places like Africa, which will put them on the rocks. And, surprise, surprise, look who comes walking in the door to give you a nice big handshake and some very much needed aid. It's old Mr. America, who's got a big
Uncle
check
Sam
with your name on it. Yeah.
Hey, we'll help you out.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful execution of the economic hitman strategy, as well as the sort of Hegelian dialectic, the problem, reaction, solution. Just so many benefits for the U.S. government to keep this war in Ukraine going.
Yep. So, the other outlets had this story. You had Yahoo News mirroring AFP, the headline, U.S. not trying to outdo world powers in Africa, says Blinken. They're very careful about hey, we're not trying to take over because we're woke. We're not taking over. Sure. We're partnering with them. We're helping them from a tough spot. And
it's so funny, just real quick to make a comment. There have been, I forget his name, but there have been a couple of leaders of African nations. I want to say that Ethiopia was one of them, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to say non-truths here. But there's been a number of them who have come out and specifically been like, hey, everybody, America is trying to trap us in debt, like they did to Venezuela. And so can somebody help us with this? We don't want to do this. I'm not going to take the aid. I'm here to, protect my people, protect my country, and taking money from America is not the way to do that. And then whoopsie daisies, he slips in the shower. Or like, whoopsie daisies, there's a coup.
Right.
and things keep going on their way.
Yeah, funny how that happens. Huh?
Yeah.
And part of the sort of move, the Afrofuturism thing has been kind of quietly brewing. I think part of the propaganda machine in the United States has been big on that. There's a Global Citizen article here with the headline, Meet the Nigerian Activist Using Technology as a Powerful Tool to Fight Poverty in America. And of course, it highlights a certain group here and goes through some numbers and how, places like Netflix is really, helping get that narrative out there. But I think the big thing here behind this Blinken story is this here from Bloomberg, and the headline, Nigeria to seek U.S. EXIM loan for solar project with Sun Africa. Okay. Nigerian.
Oh, a loan.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
We're just so eager to make a big loan to Nigeria.
Yeah.
I think it's important to put the context in there. Nigeria has been an interesting player during the pandemic, where most of Africa denied vaccines and turned away shipments of vaccines from Biden, especially. Got him all kind of irked about it. Nigeria has been super pro-vaccine. They locked people out of their bank accounts for not being vaccinated. What was the other thing? They've just been a huge sort of player in implementing very Western reactions to the pandemic versus the rest of Africa.
Right. Yeah. So the article here states, Nigerian authorities will seek credit from the U.S. Export-Import Bank to fund a solar power project being developed by Sun Africa LLC, a renewable energy provider, according to the company. The unit of Urban Green Technologies LLC is developing solar power facilities for Nigeria's Niger Delta Power Holding Co. The project, which have passed through feasibility studies, technical analysis, and land permitting phases in the past 2 years, are due for a loan processing with the Export Credit Agency. Adam Cortez, chief executive officer of the U.S.-based Sun Africa, said in an email.
This is exactly how the economic hitman strategy works.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all, and this is one of the parts of the strategy that a lot of people don't point out, just because it's one of the least interesting parts about it, not because they don't know it. It's in the book, that it's all to benefit development construction companies.
Right.
So that's exactly how it works. You have economic hitmen go in, they convince the leaders of that nation that they can become a real first world beacon of light to their, national neighbors. They just need to improve their infrastructure, give electricity to, it's almost always electricity, by the way, too.
Yeah.
We need to give electricity to everybody, and here's what you're going to do. We're going to give you $1 billion from the United States government. Then you pay that $1 billion to this energy company. It's always a different company.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking into Sun Africa right now, because whoever owns that company is definitely a part of this. And then so they get the money. They give all the money away. Usually it's an American company. So it's just a way for the government to give money to an American company.
Yeah.
The country never actually gets to spend the money on what they want. And then that company comes in, does a bunch of stuff. Of course, it doesn't actually help the country as much as they were promised. There's always a year or two of this analysis where they send engineers and civics people to come over and write reports.
Yeah.
Those are the actual economic hitmen. They write these reports to convince the government that they should take this huge loan from the U.S. And then, long story short, they can never pay back this loan. And then the U.S. or American companies get to come in and have rights to all of their resources and totally exploit the country and ruin the lives of its people even further.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to be watching this happen in real time.
Yeah. Nigerian finance ministry is expected within the next 60 days to send, quote, final commitment application to EXIM for the facility, after which the lender will conduct due diligence on the projects before the loan is finalized, Cortez said, refuting an earlier report by a Nigerian newspaper that the firm had agreed to lend $1.5 billion for the project, which I'm sure that will happen. And somebody just spilled the beans early. Authorities in Africa's largest economy plan to integrate solar into their energy mix to boost supply, as poor maintenance and insufficient investment in the transmission network have resulted in only about a third of the country's installed capacity being dispatched by the grid daily. That's just about a fraction of what's needed in the nation of more than 200 million people, making a strong case for improved public and private investments in alternative energy sources. And we'll get to some of the energy, or not the climate bill stuff, because it's all intertwined in this as well.
And we've been tracking this social engineering aspect of Afrofuturism, which you sort of made the call that first comes the social engineering, Afrofuturism, get everybody all pumped up on helping Africa, and that's what sort of pulls the blinders down, or casts a veil upon the public's eyes. And so when you hear, we're going to give them $1 billion and give them electricity, everybody goes, "Yay! Africa's the future." When really it's just sort of mind control for the sort of exploitation of a third world country with the approval of the American public.
Right. It's just the next location to be targeted. I just have this article from Yahoo Finance mirroring Bloomberg, and the headline: "The U.S.-led drive to isolate Russia and China is falling short." And I'm not going to read the article. I'm just I wanted to bring it because there's a map of the world. And it's a G20 divided. Only half the bloc have imposed penalties on Russia for invading Ukraine. And there's a map where part of it is red. The red has sanctioned Russia. The blue hasn't sanctioned Russia. But there's a large portion that hasn't done either, which is Africa. It's almost like they're that's the battleground. It's Africa and Antarctica. Those are the two continents left to be conquered.
The two economic frontiers.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, we brought this report several months ago. This was on The Guardian, and the headline was, "By 2050, a quarter of the world's population will be African. This will shape our future." And again, think about that. A quarter of the world's entire population will be in Africa, and Nigeria being 200 plus million, which is a good number because
I did not know it was that big. That's like approaching the size of America. Right,
and that's what I'm saying. And 200 million compared to what 330 million of America right now, maybe a little more. It's just the perfect place. America, it's a little bit smaller than America, very ripe for all kinds of innovation and bringing people up to speed.
Very friendly government,
right.
Very, very controllable puppets in the government, as was sort of proven through their COVID actions. Yeah, and I lost the article here. I had so many open, but there was one about the head of Nigeria green lighting some assets being sold, or was it being bought or sold? Oh, I should have brought it. Basically making a deal with the UK. Is it the one that's in here?
I don't know if it's in here. Did I lose it? I think I
don't know.
There
was one. There's one on the dock here.
Yeah, there's a lot on the dock. I think I didn't put it in there for some reason. But yeah, basically it was that they were selling off some of their assets for 1.5 billion. And that just happens to be the number that leaked, being given to them by the U.S.
Oh, right. They're coastal. They're selling off some of their coastal assets.
Coastal assets, right. To the UK. Which, the UK. All right. So sell them the $1.5 billion. And so there's a lot of movement going on. And, you think about it, again, it really helps connect the dots with the race wars in America, with martyrs, like black martyrs in America, or black heroes that are being constructed here. And there's always a political slant to it. The Wakanda propaganda and creating that martyr too. What's his name? Passed away from cancer.
Right.
The Black Panther passed away.
The guy who played Black Panther.
I forget his name. Yeah.
There's also been a big movement. So have you heard about the Back to Africa movement?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so it's this idea that African Americans, their sort of highest goal should be to go back to Africa, get out of America, go back to Africa, which sounds super racist. Like that sounds like a super racist thing.
What it sounds kind of like is,
but it's
go ahead, finish your thought.
Rastafarianism?
No. I was going to say Israel and.
Similar. Yeah, similar idea.
Yeah.
Right. But it's supposed to be like a sort of racial justice thing. Like it's a left idea. And it's really interesting to see a lot of the social justice people on Twitter and such call it out. They're like, who is doing this Back to Africa movement? This is racist. This is not cool. Like, I don't know. We're not just going to run away from America. But it's being sort of supported by this. Yes, go back to the homeland and build it up and make it's Afrofuturism is what it is. It's the whole concept behind Afrofuturism, or it's the end goal rather. And there's a lot of sort of black activists who are identifying this as some sort of psyop. And some of them even use that word psyop. Like, why are you trying to get us to leave America? And why are you trying to get us to go back to Africa? Why are you trying to get the countries that our ancestors came from in debt to America? This is a widespread thing. And once again, it's using the sort of social conditioning, social engineering of the I don't know if it's linked to the critical race theory or whatever, but it's just kind of in the milieu of social justice. But it's obviously created and injected into the minds of the population to further the economic takeover and colonization of Africa. And some people are seeing through it, but you see policy being made by those like Nancy Pelosi and others who are so sort of panicked. Not even panicked. Again, I gotta say, I think they're shrewd. I think they're shrewd enough to know that they can look like good social justice warriors and totally exploit the continent of Africa at the same time, and do the jobs that they're being paid to do, apparently. Yeah.
And we'll keep tabs on this stuff because it is interesting. It's happening quickly. It's cultural. And of course, I'm sure we'll get banned for this too at some point because we will be contributing to some kind of black Holocaust or something.
Even though I literally explicitly just sort of took the side of some black social justice warriors. What was the last part of that? I don't remember. But the Afrofuturism grand diabolical scheme, again, our sort of woke governments like to pay lip service to, reparations and talking about how colonization is a scourge and a scar on American history, and they do the exact same thing, just with fancier, methods this time, and they can paint it in the veneer of social justice, and it's really sick. But that's how it works. That's how it works, folks. Yep. It works on all different levels of society and different agendas, but it's it does not differ in result than it did, hundreds of years ago.
Yep.
And with that,
Take a break.
the Canary Cry colonizers are here. On that theme, not that, I think it's interesting because we talk about the value for value model and how we take no money from corporations, which, makes it possible. It's impossible to get rid of corporate interests if you're taking corporate money. That's just how it works. That is the transaction that you're actually taking part in, if not, it is not as simple as, yes, corporation, we will take your money and we will advertise your product to our very loyal listeners. That's sort of the sugar-coated version. But what it really is yes, we will take your corporate money and we will help you colonize the minds and the lives of our listeners who give us their trust and attention because they expect something they can't get somewhere else. And you know what? This is true independent media, not just independent because whatever, we're not a Twitch partner, we don't have some billionaire paying our bills or something, but also we don't participate in the advertising model, which really is a psychological colonialization, trying to convince people to purchase things they don't need with money that they don't have in order to somehow finally find fulfillment and richness in their life. You can find yourself. Just get this meditation app or this doodad, and it goes from there. But not here, folks. We are entirely separate, entirely independent from corporate funding, which includes advertising, affiliate codes, and platform partnerships. Twitch. And because of that, we can only be funded by our producers. And our producers are people just like you, dear listener, who find value in this show. Perhaps you had not put together or heard somebody put together the Afrofuturism connections to what the battle that China, Russia, and the U.S. are fighting in Africa. Perhaps, you didn't hear about the Roomba thing. Whatever value this show brings to you and your life, just know that the show cannot go on unless the producers participate in the value for value model, which is figure out what kind of value you get, put a number on it. We understand that times are tough, and it's really not even necessarily the amount that matters most. It's really the participation in the model, because not every single listener or producer has to produce every show. But as long as people are being honest and forthright and enthusiastic about keeping the show going, we can keep going as long as possible. Yep. And because of that, we like to thank our producers, because that's what they are, real producers of the show. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready to go.
Okay. Well, we thanked before some of our executive producers who came in. Of course, executive producer Das Farmer, executive producer Dame Lynn, Lady of the Lakes. But we had another executive producer come in, and it means so much to us. You want to thank them?
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. A little switch up here, but
Executive producers.
That's right. Like I said, these executive producers, they go a long way to carrying a very heavy load, keeping this show going. So we're going to thank them again. And we had an executive producer come in during the show, and that is executive producer Darren S.
Darren S. Coming in big. Wow.
Coming in big. Nice round number.
Is it?
So it is a round number, Gonzo.
Interesting.
Yeah, you got to look at the actual thing.
Well,
see, this is why.
Don't give me fake information then, buddy.
I gave you, oh my gosh, Gonzo, this is not the time. Thank you very much to Darren S. Darren S. is on a streak, and I believe that it is a 28 episode streak. My goodness.
I think it might be 29. I
think it might be 29 as well. I was just doing a double check because I think it might be 29.
Yeah. I think it's 29.
Okay, 29 episode streak. We'll give it to him.
Thank
you very much. Executive producer Darren S., 29 episode streak. And he's got a note here. The note reads, scrolling.
I got it here if you want me to read it.
I got it here.
Okay.
Harmful misinformation actor. I don't even have the words. It is a disgusting characterization of CCNT. Today, we should all remember, we must all hang together, or assuredly we shall hang separately. Ooh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, executive producer Darren S. We really appreciate it. Yeah, that's a pretty intense label there we got. Harmful misinformation actor. Yeah. So thank you very much, executive producer Darren S. It means a lot for you to come in like that.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Darren S.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we've got producer Samuel W.
Samuel W.
coming in with 3333. That's right. And a note that says, you guys are a beacon of light, and I love you dearly. Brothers I've never met. God bless you and keep you, and may we always hear your reports. Thank you very much, Samuel
Thank
W.
you, Samuel.
We love it back, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Next up, we've got producer Morph.
Morph.
Comes in with the 1111, 124 episodes in a row.
Woo.
Oh, yeah! Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morph.
Hey, thank you so much, Morph. Just proving to this robot that I'm also not a robot. Next up, we've got Sir LX Protocol V2 on a 63 episode streak.
Thank you, Sir LX Protocol V2. Oh, yeah, he's
right. It comes in with the 777. Mm-hmm. He did miss last episode, but he came in and made it right there. So just in time to make sure that he doesn't lose the streak. Thank you very much, Sir LX Protocol V2.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Next up, we got Pizza Rat in the house.
Pizza Rat. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Came with 777. We read his note at the top of the show.
Yes,
and the No Agenda people.
He's a multi-layer producer today, so we'll see him again later in the art section.
Yeah, he's coming in all over the place. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Pizza Rat.
Thank you, Pizza Rat.
Next up, we got Runk Smash on a 16-episode streak.
16. Thank you, Runk Smash.
And he comes in with 777 and a note here. No microfiction today. Just wanted to remind/ask y'all to please pray for my brother Dave's appointment, getting a VA doctor, and then a surgeon for the colon cancer. I love y'all. Runk Smash. Oh, P.S. Can I get a Dean scream for his health and any other butt-related jingles you can think of?
Don't know if I have any of that, but
so we have some rump rattling. Maybe we have something.
Yeah,
I don't know. You'd have to search the files, see if there's a rump rattling in your file names. There you go. Dean screams for all. Once you hit the producers while you're at it too.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. That's right, producers. Let's keep Dave and Runk Smash in our prayers for his VA appointment and the ultimate conclusion of his colon cancer thing there. Strength and healing and all the good stuff. Thank you, Runk Smash. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Runk Smash.
Next up, we got Guy L. coming in with $10.33. Illuminatus.
Thank you, Guy.
Didn't see a note. Next up, know him, you love him. It's Mr. Mondak Bakken.
Mr. Mondak Bakken. Wow, we got some spammers in the chat.
More spam. We got more spammers coming in. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
Mr. Mondak Bakken comes in with 777 and a note. Basil and Gons, I very much desired to be an executive producer for the 4th show in a row, but alas, I could not afford it. However, I was wondering if I could hear that new jingle since I did get a three-peat. Thanks and be encouraged. You both are the kings at the round table of knights and dames. We got this jingle made for Mr. Mondak Bakken, so we might as well play it for him.
Yeah, we got a couple of them here. Did we get some last episode? Or the new ones just today? I think it's just today.
I think we might have one this episode, too.
We got two this episode.
Couple.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Executive giving consecutive to his relatives in Christ.
Nice.
Very Psalm 40. We got one from Psalm 40, but it is extremely quiet. Yeah, thank you to Psalm 40. You got to boost that DB there.
We'll do a little. Got to boost some DBs on that.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
So there you go, Mr. Mondak Bakken. He says, on another note, oil field mooches beware.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
my knighthood cometh sooneth. Also, mooching farmers be warned. Ooh. It's harvest time, so it's time to share the bounty with Basil and Gons. Think how boring it would be to drive that tractor around without Canary Cry News Talk. Demooch yourselves, lest ye be shamed in the public square. Peace. Peace be with all Yahweh's children, Mr. Mondak Bakken. Ooh, calling out the oil field workers and the farmers.
Wow.
I wonder if Das Farmer is a farmer.
I wonder
you mean Das oil field worker.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. I'm starting to think Mr. Mondak Bakken is Bill Gates.
Why?
All kinds of people
his
that he's
interests.
Yeah, oil fields.
He's just a hard-working American man. You can tell.
I'm just joking. Yeah,
he's in the oil fields. He's in the farm. He's into the farming scene. I love it. Oh, that reminds me. I got to return some emails. I had some people email me about farming. Thank you very much, Mr. Mondak Bakken.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
And I believe that concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a few more people who came in under that. We'll thank in the next break.
All right.
I think that's it.
Waking up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And
wake up.
Some Chiners.
China.
Walk out the Chinese news. Comes from China. That will result in the U.S. seeing quote-unquote consequences.
Let me do this one real quick, Basil, because you got the next thing with the Ukraine thing. So
Okay.
Yeah, let me cover this real quick.
Sure.
Oh, come on, website. This is from Newsweek. Headline: Top Taiwan missile official found dead in hotel room after heart attack.
Consequences.
Consequences. Yeah. A top Taiwanese missile official was found dead in a hotel room on Saturday morning after suffering a heart attack, according to the country's official Central News Agency.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Central News Agency. Love it.
Ouyang Li-shing was deputy head of the National Chung-Shan Institute of Science and Technology, which is owned by the Taiwanese military and is the defense military's research and development unit. Taiwanese authorities said there was no sign of an intrusion, in quotes, in the hotel room in southern Taiwan, where the 57-year-old died, according to CNA. He was in charge of supervising various missile production projects. Ouyang's family said he had a history of heart problems and also had a cardiac stent. An easy target. His death comes amid increased tensions between Taiwan and China following Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island, which China considers part of its sovereign territory. China has been carrying out live-fire military drills near Taiwan as part of its response to Pelosi's visit, which the Chinese government strongly condemned. Ouyang had taken up the role at the Military Research and Development Unit earlier this year, as the organization aims to more than double its missile production capacity to around 500 in 2022. That's very interesting. The increase in production capacity is reportedly in response to what Taiwan views as a growing military threat from China. Chinese forces have been conducting live fire exercises near the island following Pelosi's visit. And the rest of the article, it's just interesting how they intertwine the Pelosi visit into this without really saying
that. I mean, the chances of this being part of the consequences that China threatened, but due to the Pelosi visit, are so likely it's almost comical if it weren't so scary.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they put the obligatory, it was a heart attack and he was prone to a heart attack type of thing in there. But, you just know that it's anybody who has the baseline awareness of, the heart attack gun, or, the many ways that heart attacks can be induced in someone, especially when they're traveling, especially when they're going to restaurants, especially when they're not cooking their own food or whatever. Anybody has, the ability to gain access to them. I think that this man's blood is on Pelosi's hands. I mean, there is still not a good reason for her visit that's been given. She outright said, consequences be darned, and went anyways for almost no reason except for her own self-aggrandizement. And China, they're making good on some threats in several different ways. And I think this is too coincidental, too perfect to not be, that being the case.
Yeah. And of course, it's the fact that this article goes into, they're doing drills. It's after Pelosi left, and trying to create this narrative that there's not anything in common. There's nothing there. There's nothing here to see. I mean, all these points of suspicion, but there's just no. It's just suspicious all around. I'm trying to see if that guy met Nancy Pelosi. And again, I can't find it. It's all about the guy dying and then Nancy Pelosi's visit. Like, all the articles in the mainstream have those two words, the guy's name and Nancy Pelosi in the articles, but none of it, tries to make the connection. So,
are you saying that they did meet, or you wonder if they met?
No, I'm trying to find out if they met through any kind of search. And the only thing that comes up is, this guy died of a heart attack shortly after Pelosi's visit. So
so if they did visit, it's been buried now.
It's been buried, or, he shouldn't have accepted that tea gift from Pelosi or something,
Yeah, I forgot about your Pelosi's a Chinese secret agent theory.
She's doing the bidding,
Sure. Speaking
Ukraine.
of suspicious, is checking on Ukraine.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Okay, there's been an interesting series of events here, and let's see if we can lay them out in a way that makes sense. I'm going to start out by heading over to CBSNews.com. CBSNews.com has a headline named "Why Military Aid in Ukraine May Not Always Get to the Front Lines," and you read the story now. And it's very much, I don't know. We don't know if all these weapons that we're sending over there are making it to the front lines. We just can't be sure, We have somebody now who just arrived who's, sort of monitoring it, but we really don't know. It kind of seems like this largely volunteer military with volunteers driving billions of dollars in U.S. weapons to and fro. It kind of seems like not all the weapons are not getting to the front line, to which, we say, yeah, duh. But the article was not always written this way. If you go there now, you'll see an editor's note at the top of the article. The editor's note reads like this. This article has been updated to reflect changes since the CBS Reports documentary Arming Ukraine was filmed. And the documentary is also being updated. Jonas Oman says the delivery has significantly improved since filming with CBS in late April. The government of Ukraine notes that U.S. Defense Attaché Brigadier General Garrick M. Harmon arrived in Kyiv in August 2022 for arms control and monitoring. So they're referring to this documentary. There's the CBS Reports documentary that came out. They were filming over there at least since April, and they found some pretty disturbing things about how the weapons were being delivered, diverted, not delivered, more diverted, things like this. But there was a complaint. There was a complaint by the government of Ukraine. And I was surprised. I was surprised that this got covered, actually, over at Insider. So if you go to Yahoo.com, they have a mirrored article from Insider, and their headline reads, CBS partially retracts documentary that outraged Ukraine by claiming that U.S. weapon shipments were going missing. Ooh. CBS partially retracted a documentary in which it said that shipments of weapons to Ukraine from the U.S. had been going missing. CBS tweeted on Monday that it had removed a video promoting the documentary that included a months-old quote saying most aid was not making it to Ukraine's front lines. Why would they have to
outdated
mention that it's months old?
Outdated.
Oh, the quote's months old. You can't listen to the quote. It's too old. It's outdated. I mean, you have Nancy Pelosi trying her darndest to quote Benjamin Franklin and can't quite get it right.
Well, you got
so apparently,
I was thinking all the COVID stuff too,
Sure. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Well, that is a great point. In the article we covered last episode where they were saying, yeah, the CDC was wrong last year,
right,
but today they're right. Okay. So that was just outdated information. And now they're right. It goes on. It said it was updating the documentary called Arming Ukraine with new information about the delivery of military aid to Ukraine. Among the material removed was a quote the founder of pro-Ukraine nonprofit Blue Yellow, Jonas Oman, who said in late April that only around 30% of aid was reaching the front lines in Ukraine. CBS said, quote, since that time, Oman says delivery has improved.
Oh, good.
It also
to 33%. No, it doesn't say
they're
that.
not even saying that the quote was wrong.
Yeah.
They're just saying that it's improved since then. And you think about April, I mean, that's when we really were sending a bulk of weapons over there. That was our big push.
Yeah.
And, billions and billions and billions of dollars of U.S. weapons heading over there. And only 30% of them were making it into the hands of the soldiers. CBS said that since that time, Oman says delivery has improved. It also noted that the U.S. had sent an official, Brigadier General Garrick M. Harmon, to Kyiv specifically to monitor the use of military aid. Now, they don't mention it right here, but you go back to that CBS article, And they mention that this guy, this General Garrick M. Harmon, Brigadier General, is over there, overseeing the weapons delivery, and that he got there in August. He got there in August.
Which is a week.
We've been sending billions of dollars in weapons for months.
Yeah.
For what, 6 months now almost?
Yeah.
And for 6 months, 30% of the weapons we sent were making it to the actual soldiers. And Rand Paul, if you remember, Rand Paul held up the last Ukraine funding going through the Senate because he was saying, hey, we should really have somebody looking at this.
Yeah.
And he was lambasted in the Senate, in the media. Oh, he's a crazy libertarian lunatic. Why would we possibly not trust whoever's driving the pickup truck from the airport to the front lines to not deliver them? Turns out Rand Paul was right. Only about 30% of them were getting there. And now they sent somebody to monitor the situation in August. It is August 8th. As of today, Gons.
It's 8.
The guy has only been there at best for 8 days.
Yeah.
Quote, we are updating our documentary to reflect this new information and air at a later date. Oh, we're updating the documentary, okay? What do you think the chances are? An update would say they would leave the 30% info in there. Right. They would leave the 30% quote and then say, since then, it's gotten better. In August, do something like that. I would bet the whole farm on the fact that they take out that 30% altogether. Yeah. I'm just saying it. CBS also updated an article accompanying the documentary. The U.S. and other nations have sent Ukraine vast quantities of weapons since Russia invaded on February 24th. Ukraine has repeatedly described the aid as a game changer, recently highlighted in the U.S. gift. Oh, it's a gift now.
It's a gift.
It's not a gift, Ukraine. I'm sorry. You're in debt now. You're in debt to us. Of HIMARS long-range artillery as a crucial tool. CBS noted that allied countries send weapons to the Ukrainian border with Poland, where they are taken hundreds of miles east to the front lines. The moving front and the need to rely partly on volunteers to transport the weapons, quote, has made the delivery of military aid difficult for those attempting to navigate the dangerous supply lines to their destination. Can you imagine the types of volunteers in Ukraine who would be, I'll take this load of weapons to the front lines. Yeah, sure. And of course they're disappearing. Of course they are. They're probably going to different, I'm sure a lot of them are staying in the country. We had all the gang wars break out from the first loads of weapons given to the public. And, there's oligarchs, there's warlords. They have just all the kind of same stuff, if not in Ukraine, then in the surrounding areas. Ukraine's Center for Strategic Communications and Information Security argued against the claims of the documentary. And then it has a tweet there. It described a series of oversight measures, which it said help keep track of donated weaponry, including a system also used by the U.S. military. Ooh, the U.S. military has a system to track weapons donations to the U.S. military? Who's donating weapons to the U.S. military? Okay. It noted that CBS did not initially ask Harmon, the U.S. senior officer, to comment. Quote, Ukraine has officially invited representatives of its partners to monitor the use of weapons, striving to ensure maximum transparency. Sure. Yeah. Mykola Podolyak, advisor to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, seemed to respond to the documentary on Sunday in a tweet that said Russia was trying to discredit Ukraine with allegations about where its weapons are. It's Russia!
It's Russia!
Russia! Russia has infiltrated CBS. Russia's state media outlets, including RIA, Novosti, and Channel 1, had prominently covered CBS's claims after they aired. Podolyak said the location of all weapons... Listen to this. Podolyak said the location of all weapons given to the Ukraine was known. Quote, this is a war live where everything is seen. This is a war live where everything is seen.
The quote exactly is, this a war live where everything is seen. Total accounting and control.
Yeah,
I don't know
total accounting and control.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
how you know it's a lie, because it's just,
right.
It's bonkers, man.
Yeah, it's
so,
crazy.
and it's interesting because CBS sort of notoriously, is not afraid of broadcasting U.S. propaganda. So who is this U.S. propaganda? Who, from an intelligence agency?
No. Putin got into the editing room, put a gun to the back of the
Putin
editor's
himself
head, and was
sent
like,
the order.
Information. Yeah.
And this matches up perfectly with what we've seen. I mean, it's the entire situation is ludicrous as far as the money in weapons that have been sent over from the U.S., especially at a time such as this. And, $50 billion, $60 billion. We just approved another billion that's going over there. Only 30% of it making it to its destination. What a great opportunity to destabilize a region that the U.S. can come in and profit from.
Yeah.
Now,
I was going to mention the headline of President Biden's new weapons package for Ukraine, his largest one yet, Pentagon says.
Yeah.
They talked about the $9.8 billion they've sent already, and now another $1 billion. So,
and it would seem like a conspiracy theory if this hadn't happened dozens of times before.
Yeah.
This is what happened in Iraq. It's what happened in Afghanistan. It's what happened in Libya, I believe. We do this all the time. And that's why we have to send so much, is because so few of it actually ends up where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have Ukraine complaining about a documentary made by an American mainstream news outlet.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians get mad and they pull the documentary. They pull the article. They say, oopsie daisy, sorry, Mr. Zelensky. Okay, we'll take it down. They bend the knee to Ukraine and Zelensky not liking the CBS posting something that makes them look bad. And you have the U.S. media bowing to Ukraine, to a foreign government, because of saying something critical of them. I mean, what a wonderful media sort of ecosystem we have, where it's not just about the U.S. government censoring media. Oh, but Ukraine can do it now. It's a total, not only is it a scam, and not only is it a shame, but it is a travesty for anyone who calls themselves mainstream media.
And it goes even in this
further.
time, when the mainstream media is doing whatever they can to regain credibility in the eye of the public, they try to do something that might move in that direction, but it gets squashed right away.
Yeah.
And we have open censorship, open book burning, as it were, of their own thing, of their own documentary. So somebody's getting killed or fired in CBS.
And this wasn't even like Ukraine being like, hey, please don't broadcast that in Ukraine, please.
No,
it's like, no.
Pull it.
You pull it. Don't broadcast this to anyone. Nobody gets to know about the problems. We fixed it. We have a guy over here now. He's been here for 3 days. Pull the documentary. And just to back that up, because of course you can't just pull a documentary.
Yeah.
You have to demonize anybody who repeats the information therein. Newsweek.com. Headline: Russian state media picks up Lauren Boebert's claims Ukraine aid is scam. So in the headline, you have Russian state media, bad guy. Lauren Boebert, bad girl, claims Ukrainian aid is scam. Oh, conspiracy theory. From a CBS documentary, they're connecting Russision disinformation and Lauren Boebert, evil Republican white supremacist or whatever.
White nationalist, yeah.
Yeah, it goes like this. Russian news. Actually, you're right, because Lauren Boebert was also tied in with the Christian nationalism conversation.
Exactly.
So now you have Russia, Christian nationalism, and conspiracy theories all being tied together because of CBS making a documentary about Ukraine.
Maybe this whole thing was like putting out this truth, or attempting to put out a documentary for truth, was a way to create this backlash and then tie people that they don't like politically into
it's a
the
good
mix.
point.
Yeah,
it's a good point, because it is weird that they did it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Why else?
And and to do it mainstream, because it's one thing to like connect Lauren Boebert to some documentary on Rumble,
right.
You know, to a podcast or something, but you put the documentary on CBS, mainstream, highly viewed news organization by normal, good liberal Americans, take it down because of Ukraine, and then connect it to Russia and Boebert. Yeah, that is one way to get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
To spin around on some politicians you don't like. It reads like this: Russian news agency TASS has quoted Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert in a report after she said the aid being sent to Ukraine from the United States is a scam. On Friday, CBS News' Twitter page shared a trailer for its Arming Ukraine documentary and said the money being sent to Ukraine was not regularly reaching its destination. It's not even money, it's the weapons. So that shows the journalism being done over there at Newsweek. Quote, the new CBS report documentary Arming Ukraine explores why much of the billions of dollars of military aid that the U.S. is sending to Ukraine doesn't make it to the front lines. Like 30% of it reaches its final destination, the tweet read. The tweet by CBS has since been deleted. Boebert shared this tweet on Saturday and added she believed the aid being sent to the country fighting with Russia was a scam. That's a weird way to say that. Why not just say Ukraine? They don't want to say Ukraine because it's not about Russia. Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's about fighting Russia.
Mm-hmm.
The aid being sent to the country fighting with Russia was a scam. Wow, Newsweek. Quote, how many people were called Russian bots for saying this exact same thing since March, she said. This was a tweet by Lauren Boebert, I guess is how they're connecting this. Quote, now when CBS says it, it's perfectly fine. Whatever the case, glad the facts are out now. The majority of Ukraine aid is a scam. And it goes on. I think this also is one other possibility, either in conjunction or otherwise, is because the mainstream media is so highly controlled. It is weird that they would have done this in the first place. It almost seems like the human beings at CBS are kind of like, we have got to do some journalism here. We have, like, somebody in there is not enjoying the sort of role that they've been put in as a mainstream media outlet, and just craved some sort of journalistic integrity, and got this greenlit, got it put out, and then got smacked down and canceled, just as if they were some conspiracy theorist podcaster or something. And it's a bit of like keeping everybody in line, like CBS. If you don't stay in line, not only are we going to make you pull it, but we're going to connect you. We're going to turn you into the next right-wing white nationalist channel, kind of like Fox. Fox is trying to clean up their image as far as Trump and the right-wing extremism or whatever is concerned.
Maybe they're trying to clean up.
Maybe that leaves a spot open to be like, hey, fall in line, CBS, or else we are going to peg you as the new Fox or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if it'll go that far, but certainly using conflict for attention and narrative spinning is nothing new in the mainstream media, and I think we're seeing a lot of that here. So, but
the good thing about this being on CBS is it is highly visible.
Right.
It's highly visible just how beholden the American mainstream news is to a foreign government. And that very simple fact should be enough to at least take some people one step forward in their sort of awakening or whatever you want to call it. Speaking of which, let's everybody take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
It's time for a break.
That's right. it is time for a break. Again, we're thanking just a few producers and listening to some voicemails. Let's listen to this list of producers first. We're going to thank them for helping keep the show going. These are the producers who come in underneath the $7.77 cutoff for notes being read on the show, but we are still so grateful for their support, and so we are going to thank them now. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready.
Okay. Starting with Liza. Thank you very much. Liza, perhaps? Yes. Came in on Patreon to support the show on a monthly basis. Thank you very, very much, Liza.
Liza. I'm going to say Liza.
Liza. That sounds right. Next up, we got Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 179 episodes in a row.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 179. That's off the charts. Yeah. Wait. Thank you, Sir Scott.
Thank you very much, Sir Scott. Next up, we've got the Streak Sisters, Veronica D, with 155 episodes in a row.
Women rule.
Thank you, Veronica D.
And of course, we got Gail M coming in with 155 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Gail M.
We got 190 episodes in a row from Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
He is the Streak. Thank you, Sir Casey. Man, 190. Indeed. That is crazy. Every time I see his number, I'm blown away.
Almost to that 201 jingle. Let's see here. There was a couple people who came in. I just want to give props to. We had LX Protocol, or Sir LX Protocol V2 came in, caught up. He's all straightened out here, and he says, "Gary, what day is it?" Thanks for all you do.
Okay, all right, thank you. I thought we already thanked him, but okay.
Gary,
we did.
What day is it? Monday.
Was it the makeup?
Yeah.
Makeup, okay.
He's all made up now.
Awesome.
And we had some people come in, but they belong in the other segment. So I think we're going to thank them next episode.
Okay.
But just know I see it, and we'll be thanking you on Wednesday. I hope that's okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Time for some voicemails.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Whoa.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
What was that?
That was just something I got ready here for one of the messages here, but continue.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I do have one more producer to thank. We'll thank after the voicemails here.
Okay.
Okay, yes. If you go to canarycrynewstalk.com, you can leave us a voice message. You'll see a green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side of the page. Just click on that. It's easy. You'll see how to do it. You're a genius. You can leave us a message. You're giving us permission to play the message on the show, but it's not guaranteed.
We got a message here from Wandering Spirit Michael.
Hey, guys. I have a question for Gons. I remember that one song from Slave to Servant, Baptized in Credit, and Gons was doing good in that with the solo. So I was just wondering if there's a place to listen to your music, or do you still play music anymore?
We're I've been working on not working myself, but Sam, producer Sam.
Yeah, why don't you tell people what he's referring to, just in case they don't know.
So there's a song called Baptized in Credit. I think I played guitar on that. It was, I'll bring it up here. People can check it out at slave2servant.bandcamp.com. That's slave2, like TWO, servant.bandcamp.com. And look for Baptized in Credit. You can check out the single. That's what you heard, Basil, for a second there. Oh, you're going off screen. Okay.
Sorry, I gotta fix an emergency.
Sure. So I haven't recorded much recently. I I am helping out Sam here with some editing of some new material that he's been working on for a couple years. And but in terms of my guitar playing and recordings and stuff, I really should just put together some kind of playlist somewhere because I have these demos from 2004 of just music that never happened, never got published anywhere or went anywhere. And there's just stuff that I have in the archives that I can openly share publicly. So maybe I'll put something like that together. But if you do want to check out one of my old bands, there's just look up Fellway, Fellway. That's just an old band, a screamo band that I was in, lead singer and lead guitarist there. So you can check that out. Nothing recent, although we've been talking about doing some kind of Canary Cry album for a long time. And if we do, I'm going to bring the shred. So. We'll do some banjo and guitar duos or something, duets, and make something cool happen.
I got myself a bass clarinet now.
Oh, look at that!
Some metal shred. Run that bass clarinet through some distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
yeah, some high gain pedals. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so thank you very much there, Wandering Spirit Michael. Appreciate the question.
Thank you very much.
Yep. We also have a message from Rochelle.
Happy Monday, Canarians. So it's Bible Nerd Monday, and I just wanted to tell you something cool I found out about King David's name. David is spelled DVD in the Hebrew, and each Hebrew letter has a numerical value. D is 4, V is 6, the other D is 4, so that equals 14. So David's name equals 14, which I thought was really significant, because I remembered that you've got 14 generations from Abraham to David, another 14 from David to the Babylonian captivity, and then another 14 from the Babylonian captivity until Jesus Christ. 14 is also well known as Nisan 14. That was, of course, the very first Passover. And then our king was crucified also on Nisan 14. So it must be the number of salvation. I also remember that in the Targums, Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem on Nisan 14. And if it wasn't for that, then David or Jesus would not have ever been born in that line. Also, the thief on the cross. Oh, wow. That would have been Nisan 14 too. So the first believer, or I guess, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, thanks for the awesome show, guys, and stay strong for Jesus.
Oh,
thank you, Rochelle.
Very interesting. Yeah, thank you very much, Rochelle. What an interesting study she's doing there.
Yeah, there's always numerical stuff in the Bible that align with the greater theme, the greater purpose of God. So, yeah, good stuff.
Love it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we've got is that all the voicemails?
Yep.
Okay, we've got an emergency thank you to a producer. I was going to save it, but I just read the note, and it's got to go out today, my man. Okay, so we are thanking producer Chad J. All right. Chad J. And Chad J comes in with $50.77. Nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And he's got a note here, and the note reads like this. Hey there, y'all. My wife's new car was just rear-ended at the end of our driveway.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to, I know, that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm going to assume that was God's way of telling me to get publicly demooched. Interesting. You know what? God speaks to all of us in different ways. I'll give you that. Also, if you could give hold on.
Okay. Sorry.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Also, if you could give a shout out to her, it might make her day a bit better. And he didn't give a name, but I will say, Mrs. J, old rear end Miss J. That sounded weird. I apologize.
That sounded
for that.
really bad.
Shout out to you. You know, sometimes life just rattles our rump once in a while.
Yep.
But it's nice to remember that there's opportunity in these unfortunate and surprising times, and this was at least an opportunity for Chad to show some love for his wife, having gone through such an abrupt and jarring experience. Have you ever been rear-ended, Gons?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
It is jarring.
No, it is. Yeah. Last time I got rear-ended, the guy, I looked back in my rearview mirror, and it looked like the guy had passed out or something. And I was very concerned, and then we pulled in, and he was like, I hit the brake, and it didn't work. And I said, okay, well, please go get your car fixed, because you are endangering everybody by driving.
Yeah.
But,
well, there you go. Shout out to Mrs. J. Good job to producer Chad J. And let's give him a D-mooch.
Mrs. J, just a reminder that Gavin Newsom has your back.
Women rule!
So that'll brighten your day.
Yeah, that makes it all better, I bet. Okay, there you go. Thank you to our producers. Thank you to our voicemailers. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Polly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood. They'll suck
Politics.
your blood.
Sorry about that. It was a little janky on the jingles there. Not very smooth. But yeah, let's learn about this historic climate bill that just passed.
Oh, yes. I love it when they call it that.
Yeah,
That's
awesome. They had all kinds of names for this bill here, but this is Politico. There's a bunch of outlets. I picked Politico because it was Politico. The headline here, Historic Climate Bill to Supercharge Clean Energy Industry. Woo!
Sure.
Yeah, it's happening. Finally, it's happening. Senate Democrats delivered a dramatic win for President Joe Biden's effort to fight climate change on Sunday, passing a bill that will devote hundreds of billions of dollars to clean energy sources and speed the U.S. transition away from fossil fuels. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Hey, what does that have to do with climate change?
Why did they call it Inflation Reduction Act?
I have an answer for that.
I know, but it's just hilarious. Which had appeared to be dead just weeks ago and now heads to the House of Representatives, would accelerate U.S. emission cuts and put the country on a path to reduce greenhouse gases by 40% below 2005 levels by 2030, significantly narrowing the gap with the goal Biden set under the Paris Climate Agreement to cut that pollution by at least half by that date. The bill that includes $369 billion in climate and energy provisions that will transform how America gets their energy and shape the country's climate and industrial policy for decades. And it represents an extraordinary turnaround from just months ago when the Biden administration pivoted from its climate priorities to press for increased oil and gas production to combat the energy crisis that sent energy prices skyrocketing. That's why. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer teed up the final vote, calling the legislation, quote, the boldest climate package in U.S. history. It will kickstart the era of affordable clean energy in America. It's a game changer. It's a turning point, and it's been a long time coming, he said. The climate portions of the bill were far lower than the $550 billion originally envisioned as part of a broader $2.2 trillion bill a year ago, but they still represent the biggest investment in clean energy sources in U.S. history, about 4 times as large as the incentives contained in President Barack Obama's American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009.
And there's the key. Incentives.
That's right. It's all about incentives.
When you hear what it's actually doing, it's just incentives. And it's not just incentives for the earth.
Yeah, no, it's probably it's least about the earth when it comes to the incentives. The drop was due to inflation concerns from West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who only acquiesced to the bill after private negotiations with Schumer last month and the assurances from leading economists like former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers that it would not worsen the economic pain for Americans. Just a promise from an economist. convinces Joe Manchin. And Manchin won the addition of language that linked measures to help boost oil and gas production to some of the clean energy incentives, irking environmental activists, but not enough for them to pull their support for the bill. The House of Representatives is expected to take up the bill later this week. Its climate measures include billions of dollars to expand wind and solar power production, bring electric vehicles closer to the financial reach of more Americans, and make $1.5 billion available to oil companies, cut down their greenhouse gas emissions and penalize them for failing to do so. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's interesting. And it would help develop technologies such as carbon capture and sequestration, hydrogen, and small nuclear reactors that experts say will be needed to get the U.S. to net zero emissions by 2050, a level scientists say is necessary to prevent catastrophic climate change. It would devote $4 billion to help address an imminent disaster for the Southwest as climate-fueled drought threatens power and water supplies for 40 million Americans along the Colorado River. And it goes on and on here. We can point out some other things here about the Clean Power Association and things of that nature.
I think we get the point. You know, all this clean energy aid and stuff is coming in the form of rebates for cars. So it's really, you know, rebates for people buying electric cars is where the bulk of the money going to save the planet actually comes from. And lo and behold, it also just happens to benefit big American corporations. Wow.
Yeah, here's
funny how that can work.
Here's a name that we haven't heard in a while. John Podesta, founder of the Liberal Center for American Progress and who served in both the Obama and Clinton administrations, said in a text, the bill will set off, quote, a tsunami of investment, American job creation, and innovation that will, if history is any judge, likely result in even greater emission reductions than the modeling shows. Oh, good. Yeah. John Podesta, the guy that was a creepy man during the whole Pizzagate thing. Out again.
He's got the Podesta emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's hilarious. And the name of the inflation bill, there's nothing in there that actually does inflation reduction, I mean, on its face. But
what are you talking about? Why would they call it that if it's not has nothing to do with inflation?
Because Joe Manchin wasn't going to let it happen unless he could tell his people that he voted to reduce inflation. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Joe Manchin, you know, he's South Virginia, one of the Virginias. Where it's all coal, it's all oil. Those are his people. He's a Democrat, but he's, you know, an actual working man's Democrat. He's a pain in the butt to all the corporate Democrats, and he holds things up. He's a troublemaker. And to get this thing passed, he went in, had some negotiations, got a bunch of money for the oil companies, got a bunch of money for, a lot of the traditional energy sectors. You know, there's a lot of lobbying involved here. Kristen Sinema went in. She's sort of the female counterpart to Manchin. She's from Arizona. She got a whole bunch of private equity, Wall Street firms, a bunch of money through this thing. It's filled with pork, but the Democrats needed something. They needed something to let voters know that they're not just the worst ever when midterms come around. So they really made a lot of concessions to get Sinema and Manchin on board, aka again, supporting big evil corporations across the board, including Wall Street, including the oil companies, including everybody. But they changed the name to the Inflation Reduction Act. It was not called that. And that's why you hear all this. It's all strictly being promoted as climate change. Mm-hmm. But there's a part of it, Gons. There's a part of it that's not getting as much attention, except for notorious, currently anti-government Jeff Bezos and his outlet, the Washington Post. So we can be grateful that Bezos is at war with Biden.
Thank you, Bezos. Yes, just take all of our mapping of our houses, Bezos. If you'll fight the Democrats.
Well, it's useful for the billionaires and the government to be at war because that allowed for this article at the Washington Post. Democrats' $80 billion wager, a bigger IRS will be a better IRS.
Oh, great. Yay. A better IRS is what we need.
And this part really has the most to do with inflation, I think, but in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
A newly empowered, that's the thing with inflation, is once it happens, the only way to fix it in the eyes of the elites is to hurt the working man. There's no way out of inflation that doesn't directly punish the working man.
We talked about the Hegelian dialectic, but they print all this money for a couple of years, more than they've ever printed. They give it to the corporations. They give a little bit to the people. Sprinkle it to the people. With the stimulus bill and stuff.
But pittance.
And then all these corporations have the money. They make all this money, and then the government's like, oh, the inflation is out of control, and then we have to tax them. But then
the taxpayer pays for it.
And the taxpayer pays for it.
The middle class is sort of the bank account for the government.
Yeah.
They give all their money to the corporations, and then the middle class has to pay for it. And this is one way that they do it. A newly empowered Internal Revenue Service is one of the keys to the sweeping climate, healthcare, and tax bill Senate Democrats hope to pass this week. This was before it passed.
Days ago, yeah.
Yeah, with billions of dollars and new funds for the agency so it can collect money for the federal government by going after higher income tax cheats. Oh, higher income tax cheats. The bill, known as the Inflation Reduction Act, would put $80 billion towards beefing up the IRS in line with $80 billion. In line with liberals' long-term goals to strengthen tax collection of enforcement on corporations and high-income earners. This is where
Amazon
they get you.
Bezos.
This is where they get you, man, while relieving low-income taxpayers of cumbersome and frightening audits.
Oh, thanks.
Right. Yeah, right, bro.
Yeah.
Some of the additional revenue would go to pay for the largest ever U.S. investment in clean energy and technology. That's those rebates. The idea is that the government could bring in more money by examining when have they ever needed to bring in more money? Bringing in more money didn't stop them when they printed trillions of dollars. And this is where the big sort of nonsense comes in, is that, if we don't tax them more, we won't have money. You just print the money, and here's where it comes from. Here's why the beefing up the IRS actually, is a inflationary reducing thing, is that it takes more money out of the system. Yeah. They take as much money as possible from the middle class, so people have less money, and that, in theory, brings inflation down.
One can argue that the government is laundering money through the middle class. They printed it all,
exactly
maybe illegally. Well, not illegally, but just unethically. And then they got to legitimize all that. So we're going to tax everybody and make that all those dollars legit for the government. So anyway.
That's exactly right. It really is a money laundering scheme.
Yeah.
But, it's a very powerful fear mechanism as well.
Yeah.
The idea is that the government could bring in more money by examining corporate and high-income tax returns. Oh, that's weird, because in the Inflationary Reduction Bill included a whole bunch of corporate and high-income tax cuts. Weird. Why would you cut their taxes and then, get the number is 87,000 new auditors are going to be working for them.
Well, why don't they invest that money into robots and AI? I thought that's the direction we're going here. Is this just so the government can say, we've created jobs. Look at all these jobs we've created.
Yeah. The idea is that the government could bring in more money by examining corporate and high-income tax returns than it does by pursuing lower and middle-income taxpayers who make mistakes on their returns and underpay their taxes by small amounts. Look at this. This is disgusting what they're writing here. It is ludicrous. The IRS in recent years has grown more dependent on those types of audits because they are relatively inexpensive. They're automated, and they preserve the agency's limited personnel resources. So that's what they're saying. We've been auditing the middle class, because it's cheaper for us to do it. Yeah. And what they're saying is, the middle class doesn't have money to fight an audit. You try to audit a corporation, they have teams of lawyers that will keep the IRS wrapped up in court for decades, so they don't have to pay the money. It's cheaper, more efficient to take from the middle class as the IRS. But they also mostly fall on taxpayers who can't afford to fight back by spending hours on the phone with tax agency or hiring lawyers. The result is that the IRS's prolific enforcement capabilities, which bring in on average better than $10 in revenue for every $1 spent pursuing audits, are often trained on the most economically vulnerable taxpayers. More than half of the agency's audits from 2021 were directed at taxpayers with incomes less than $75,000. Half of all audits are on people with less than $75,000 a year, according to IRS data. More than 4 in 10 of its audits targeted recipients of the Earned Income Tax Credit, one of the country's main anti-poverty measures. So people who are getting anti-poverty tax credits are being targeted by IRS audits. More than half of the IRS's exams in 2021 were of taxpayers with, this is a graph they're showing here. Yeah, so you've got $0 to $75,000 a year is 51% of the audits. Then 75 through 200K is 26, so that's a fourth. And then it's split up between 11%, 7%, and 4% of the higher brackets. Congress and the White House, when led by Republicans, have starved the IRS of resources for so long, experts say, that even with an influx of $80 billion in new funding, the agency's ability to transform itself is far from assured. Then it goes on to some. I
think this is interesting right here in the context of what we're talking about, because it says here some of its main computers, this is IRS, still run on programming language that dates to the 1960s, called COBOL, which we've talked about before. The IRS has repeatedly told policymakers the program is so old that college computer science courses rarely teach it anymore, forcing the IRS to spend heavily on training new hires in antiquated systems. In fact, I remember when they were trying to look for people that knew this language, like people that were in college in like the 70s and 80s, who still know how to program in COBOL to, help the IRS out. And I think that maybe part of this redoing here has a crypto element to it. And I'm talking about CBDCs. I don't think you can stop CBDCs from coming to America or the world, really. And the backbone of CBDCs is going to be, it's going to have to be some kind of crypto asset, some digital asset, which is why I think it's very interesting that in recent weeks here, days, we heard BlackRock partnering with Coinbase. Why? I don't know. BlackRock, the hedge fund that lost $1 trillion in the first 2 quarters of 2022, somehow they're fine. They just keep chugging along. Partner with Coinbase so they can start selling Bitcoin to these high money people. And in the bill that we just talked about, the climate bill, or the inflation stopping bill, or whatever it's called, there's an incentive in there, $1.5 billion. We read about it for oil and gas companies to cut emissions. Right. And the talk of a lot of Bitcoin maximalists have been that once these oil and energy type of places are forced, incentivized to move in a more clean energy direction, they will take that energy and mine Bitcoin with it. And I actually think that's part of the plan here. Why would BlackRock get it? Line up with Coinbase, start making Bitcoin available to their customers, unless the U.S. government and the infrastructure of the United States will, with clean energy, with the full backing of the government, start mining Bitcoin. I think that's what they're planning to do.
I totally think crypto is a huge part of it. I mean, you've had 2 years where individuals were able to make a nice chunk of money on crypto if they played their cards right. And then all the crash and the nonsense going on now, they're the perfect people to target with the IRS. Now, that was the Washington Post, liberal bastion of elitism. Now you head on over to, I stuck a link there called an audible. Stuck a link there in our document there, Gons. And this is New York Post. And this one came out a couple days ago. The Inflation Reduction Act would double IRS agents and audits, but the super rich aren't the real targets. Okay. The Manchin-Schumer Inflation Reduction Act which could clear the Senate this weekend, is supposed to raise tens of billions of dollars by adding $80 billion to the IRS budget and hiring as many as 80,000 more auditors and agents. The plan is estimated to double the number of Americans audited each year. To quote the church lady from Saturday Night Live, well, isn't that special?
Most of the money. At some point.
What's that?
We had that ISO at some point in the show.
Oh, yeah. Most of the money raised from these audits won't come from the super rich or multi-billion-dollar corporations, both well-stocked with accountants and tax attorneys to fight IRS allegations. Small business owners and upper-middle income workers will likely be the targets. The woman who runs an accounting firm or a restaurant won't have the resources to fight the government in tax court. This proposal comes just a year after the IRS's latest scandal with agents illegally leaking millionaires' and billionaires' private tax return data to the media. Conservatives should be especially worried. Will the Biden administration weaponize these tens of thousands of new agents against them, as it's done in the Justice Department and FBI? Remember, there's the Trump FBI directors who got targeted.
Right.
And before that, there's a bunch of faith organizations that got targeted. No one should forget this is precisely what happened in the Obama era. Obama-era Lewis Lerner affair. The agency cherry-picked for extra scrutiny the tax returns of conservative organizations and donors who happen to oppose President Barack Obama's policies. We all want Americans to pay the taxes they owe, but this plan is a brutal way of making that happen. The bill will also be counterproductive. It would add new green energy tax write-offs and other loopholes to abstruse 30,000-page tax code. All this enforcement activity won't raise, and then it goes on. It's kind of conservative take on the thing. But the point of the matter is, the amount of corporations and uber rich that they're talking about taxing, you do not need 80,000 people to tax the corporations. Okay. Yeah. You could tax the corporations with who you have now and, sure, maybe get some more guys on the team or whatever. But if you're adding 80,000 new auditors and agents, you don't need 80,000 people to tax the corporations. You need 80,000 more people to focus on auditing millions of other, middle income Americans. Yeah. And, it's just continuing the war on the middle class. And so it is disturbing. It is a classic move to hide the destruction of the middle class behind the veneer of climate change. That's why all the biggest outlets are reporting on the climate change bill. They're calling it the climate change bill, even though it's Inflation Reduction Act. It's really sick what they're doing.
It is meant to completely choke out middle class and lower class businesses and individuals, because if the compliance element of the climate stuff, the ESG stuff that's behind all this, certain companies, certain mom and pop shops and stuff, they may not be able to comply. They may not have the resources or the finances or even the ability to be compliant with some kind of emissions, metric that they're going to impose upon everybody. And so those places, they'll go out of business, they'll die. And so this really is a corporate takeover.
Exactly. It helps the corporations take over all the smaller businesses.
And
now,
people are going to be up in arms about this. There may be a war, Basil. There may be some blood on the streets, literally. How are the IRS going to protect themselves?
Well, they're going to do it on Twitter with blue check mark Twitter. Okay. Do you have a punchline to this setup?
Yeah, I do. PJmedia.com. Why does the IRS need 5 million rounds of ammo?
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
It says here, Representative Matt Gaetz has introduced a bill to keep the Internal Revenue Service from buying ammunition. Reps Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jeff Duncan, and Paul Gosar are on board as well, which means probably won't go anywhere the way things are going. The IRS is buying bullets? Yes. They've amassed roughly 5 million rounds of ammo. Gee, what for? Gates's Disarm the IRS bill would put a stop to the tax collectors building their arsenal, which, according to a report from the Government Accountability Office, includes but is not limited to 2,148 law enforcement officers, 4,461 weapons, including 15 fully automatic weapons. Of course, this is a PJ Media, so it says, for you lefties, that's a machine gun.
Yeah, the IRS is, they're getting ready, man.
That's what I'm saying. They know
these IRS guys are going beast mode. They're getting some actual machine guns put in the budget there.
Well, it's funny because it's like, well, we couldn't take away their guns, so we're just going to have to fight fire with fire.
We're going to need more guns.
We need to load up. We need to load up on our weapons.
To chainsaw their house down.
I mean, this is kind of scary when you connect the dots here. It's I don't know what they're planning, but I think they know that there's going to be an uprising of people very upset at the IRS in particular for
and they're not the only ones. There's been some very interesting analysis of a lot of the administrative agencies in the government who have budgets for guns and ammunition and law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
I forget who, I think it may have been a Gates thing too recently, where like the education board had a bunch of money for guns, the agriculture, association or whatever. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I forget
had a bunch of money for guns. Like all these little administrative organizations are adding budgets for weapons into their yearly budgets, or they've had them for a while, either way. We've finally started having people question, like, wait a second, why does the agricultural department need AR-15s? Why does the IRS need 15 fully automatic weapons and 5 million rounds of ammo?
Yeah,
it's pretty intense.
It's going to get crazy. I don't like what this is.
You got 80,000 IRS agents. Are they all going to
be trained to handle a weapon?
Yeah, they're commandos, man.
They're going to audit you and shoot you.
All of our troops are going to get sent over to Taiwan and Ukraine.
Oh yeah, the American people are going to be
we need somebody to keep the peace at home.
Yeah,
the IRS squad.
IRS squad. Oh man, we should put in our application. We'll be first in line to join the IRS to
Should we become IRS agents?
I think that's an exit strategy potentially. We can be double agents.
That is one potential exit strategy.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and thank some of our producers who came in with their awesome talents.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
We call upon our listeners to step up and become producers of the show by contributing with their God-given talent. Don't just consume the content, but actually provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that whatever you make is for the show. And we got some audio production coming in here. We got a good handful today.
Audio production.
And we first got one from Psalm 40.
In this dark world, he can help you see. Just listen to Psalm 40.
And he came in with a note that just said, "How's that?" And it's it is an executive streak jingle, which we played earlier. It is very low in volume. Psalm 40. We gotta get more decibels. We'll try to play it
Boost
again.
Boost it up,
here.
baby.
Yeah, let's hear it. Oh man, I don't even know if it's going through the sound gate. Very hard to hear, but it sounds like it's good. Just gotta get a boost in there. So thank you, Psalm40. Appreciate that. Just gotta get some DBs in there, but appreciate it nonetheless. Next up, we have Jonathan F. And Jonathan F came in with a bunch of stuff here. The first thing that we will play, let's see, which one should we do? Hold on, I'm trying to line them up here. There's so many. He did give us a sanctioned ISO, which we played earlier.
Sanctioned.
There's also a sanctioned Basil version.
You don't
Kind of psychedelic or something. It's very the reverse echo and stuff there. So
yours is a little snappier. I like yours.
Yeah. I think we can use this first one.
Sanction.
It's a good one. And anytime there's a sanction that comes down, kind of like how.
Oh, and there will be.
Yeah, there will be. So there you go. Thank you for those two. We also got an executive streak jingle as well.
Executive giving consecutive to his relatives in Christ.
Very
executive streak. Very nice. Thank you very much, Jonathan F.
And he also had one more here. He has a note. Hey, Basil and Gons, I thought it was high time that we had more songs. I was super inspired ever since the Ravel episode came out with Basil putting down some fire bars. I thought I might attempt something as well. Hope you guys enjoy. God bless. So here we go. His attempt at the rap. And I have the lyrics here. If we can't understand it, we can read the lyrics here. But here it is.
Canary, cry till I die. Never try to tell about spies. Supply faith through Wi-Fi. Specify why they misapply telecast. News talk on podcast. Cut with bird's eye view of the truth. Make sure that you produce for those you lose. And do it if you don't leave reviews. Produce all the time. It's not a crime. Guns, let's hear that chime. Basil, it's showtime. Throw that punchline. Here comes the headline. Produce all the time. It's not a crime. Guns, let's hear that chime. Basil, it's showtime. Throw that punchline. Here comes the headline.
Sick.
Yeah. It's pretty short. 40 something seconds.
I liked it. That was nice.
Very good.
Yeah, we'll play that at the end of the show. Canary Cry mixtape, baby. Yeah, dude. That was fun.
It. Yeah, I like it. I like how it's so modern, I've lost touch with like how music is made now and
old boomer guns. Yeah, well, for such a modest length, he had such a great set of variations in the all parts of it, not just the music and the beat, but also in the, what do they call it, the pentameter of the rapping is really packed quite a punch. A lot of times rap music can be kind of monotonous and repetitive, but I think it worked out really well. Thank you very much, Jonathan F.
Very well done. Thank you very much. Lastly, for audio, we have a piece from Boot Knife Fox. It's titled Sad Bill. He said, I thought I would try to make a short jingle for all you guys in the genre of metal. Gonzo was talking about his old Tascam 4-track recorder when he was younger and how he wanted the quad-track guitar sound, understandably so. I know the show has its fair share of COVID jingles, but Bill is such a good subject to make fun of, so it's what I went with for my first jingle ever. So this is it from Boot Knife Fox.
Sadly, the virus itself, particularly the variant called Omicron, is a type of vaccine. That is, it creates both B-cell and T-cell immunity.
Oh, yeah. I love that. He's talking about how Omicron was a vaccine. Oh, great.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I
Thank
like
you very
the
much.
stereo guitars there. Very nice. Very
Love
layered, thick. That's how I like it. Thank you very much. All right. That's it for the audio. We got some art production.
One art, please.
We will kick it off with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And we have a note accompanying this. Well, I think it's just a part of some quoted parts of an article. Carlyle Group Inc. Chief Executive Kyu Song Lee abruptly steps down Reuters, Carlyle Group Inc. Chief Executive Kyu-Young Lee has abruptly stepped down months before the scheduled end of his 5-year contract, raising questions about succession plans about the private equity firm. Lee, a 21-year veteran of rival Warburg Pincus, who took the helm as Carlyle's sole CEO in 2020, declined to comment. According to a person familiar with the matter, his exit was triggered by negotiations on a new contract over which he clashed with Carlyle's board. Lee stepped down after neither side could come to an agreement. The sources added, requesting anonymity.
Yeah, and Carlyle Group is one of the biggest sort of evil investment groups.
Yeah.
Private equity firm.
Yeah.
And who isn't Carlyle Group? Hold on. I forget who it is, but Carlyle is connected with some pretty shady figures.
They're all, any kind of equity firm. It doesn't feel like any equity firm is a.
They are sort of like the gold standard for shady, Wall Street private equity.
Right.
Yeah, okay, and here we go. We've got a pencil headshot portrait of Kyu-Young Lee. I have no idea who this man is, but I do now. Now I could spot him in a lineup, and that's one of the many benefits, the value that Dame Allie's art brings to the show is bringing a lot of these lizard people to our attention, putting a face to a name, and then so we know next time we see them, we'll know exactly who they are. Thank you, Dame Allie. Wonderfully done. Of course, is well, if you couldn't tell by his name, an Asian man, nicely coiffed hair. He's got the nice thin rimmed glasses. Quite a kind of sneaky looking fella, and of course you get in there close, and he's got those lizard eyes, baby.
Yeah, those lizard eyes on those. I was gonna be racist towards my own people. I won't do that.
Don't do that. Thine lizard eyes doth give it away.
Sure.
Thank you, Dame Allie.
Thank you, Dame Allie. Next up, we have. Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia. And we have a note that says peace for this week's Bible artwork. We've got a piece for Ezekiel 36:26. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will remove your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep praying for yins.
Indeed. And what we have here is a photo of what looks to be a heart-shaped hole in the ground.
Yeah, in the sand or something.
Yeah. And around it, in a very decorative font, of which I am trying my hardest to comprehend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough to know where it starts and where it ends.
Trying to see where it starts here.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they get you, man.
I know what
you
it
just
says.
let it sink into your spirit.
I'll give you a new heart. Let's see. I see your heart at the top there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your heart of stone. It kind of goes in circles here. What's that other word here? I promise.
Remove.
Remove, yeah.
Remove your heart of stone is what it says. Oh, I see. Yeah, and the heart is like in the dirt, and it's got rocks in there.
Yeah, there we go.
We got there. Thank you very much, Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia.
Appreciate it. Well, yeah, we have to deconstruct the art to understand what's happening.
That's what art's all about, man. You got to stare at it for a while before you get it.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Next up, we have Pizza Rat. We did read the note earlier about the No Agenda Reddit stuff, but he also did have a piece of art here, and he has a note. B&G, I'm always up against it. I hate that I'm always resending art. But I'd like to send my best if possible.
Yeah.
This is the Pikeland meetup art.
You resent the Pikeland meetup.
I didn't get it the first time. I didn't see it the first time anyway.
Yeah, it came in. It came in on Friday or Saturday, but he put some color to it here.
I see.
Yes, and it's kind of like a wanted poster.
Yeah.
And it says Canary Cry Pikeland Meetup 2 Unwanted. Albert Pike, dead or alive. And the A in dead and the A in alive are the compass or the square and compass.
Yeah.
Masonic symbol. $666.66 reward. September 28th through 30th. Ooh, 3-day meetup.
Yeah.
2022, Mountain View, Arkansas. Contact surrealgray@gmail.com to RSVP, and that's surreal, SURREAL, gray, GREY, @gmail.com. Okay, they're doing the Pikeland meetup again, baby. From what I remember, the Pikeland, the first one was like one of the best. They nailed it. It was a great meetup. We got a lot of Canarians in the area. Oh, yeah, and the art here, you've got a pen drawing of Albert Pike, sort of infamous Masonic guy who was sort of man. Yes, he was quite the historical figure, and Arkansas, or at least a portion of Arkansas, is called Pikeland, or they call it Pikeland. I still don't know if that's an official name or like a colloquial name, or if it's all of Arkansas. Is the whole state Pikeland? Who knows?
America is Pikeland.
No, Arkansas. Thank you very much, Pizza Rat.
Thank you, Pizza
Wonderfully
Rat.
done on the art. We'll make sure to update the meetup section. I'm so very happy that we have a date for this meetup. Gons, one of these days we're going to have to go to the South because we get a lot of meetups and things happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ready to go.
Thank you very much, Pizza Rat.
Thank you, Pizza Rat. All right, we got one more here from Dame Miss G Beauty, and she accompanies it with a note. Hello, Basil and Gons. This is part 1 of 2 of a quote that I got from episode 510. Basil says, did I mention that I covered my entire body in frozen vegetables for this episode? Trying out the new brush pens. Stay tuned for the follow-up quote. Also love the Tweet Hungry Boys apron with all the baking I do. And she, I love how this all comes together. She put a little emoji of a pretzel. I don't think it is coincidence, Basil.
Oh, the pretzel. I see. Your big pretzel that changed your life.
Yes. I did. For some reason, the German thing has come up. The pretzel thing has come up. It's a good show. Have a great show today and many blessings.
Thank you, Miss G Beauty. And she drew a bag of frozen vegetables, Canary Cry Compound brand. Did I mention that I covered my entire body in frozen vegetables for this episode? Down on the label here, episode 510 on 7/8/22. I love how she puts the dates and the episodes because it helps me remember. Non-GMO, organic certified, 333 grams. Keep frozen unless you're overheating during a podcast. And there's a little tiny Easter egg of some little googly eyes. It says Basil under there. Attributing the quote. Thank you very much, Miss G Beauty.
Yep, lovely. And I like the new brush pens. They got that cool.
Turned out great.
Yeah, almost like watercolor. Looks like
watercolor type of thing. Yeah,
good stuff.
I got a pair of brush pens.
Yeah,
I thought that having a pair of brush pens would make me a better artist. No, it just makes me a bad artist in watercolor.
My late father-in-law, was a very he loved watercolor. He had a lot of paintings that he did in watercolor. So watercolor has a special place
Close
in my
to your heart.
Yes. So thank you very much, Dame Miss G Beauty, and that does it for all the art production. Yeah.
No microfiction today.
No microfiction.
So I think that rounds out this section. If you are a creative person, if you are an artist or a musician or whatever you do, create something for the show. We'd love to feature it on the show. Again, just make sure you make it for the show, about the show, whatnot, and send it on in to canarycryradio@gmail.com. And that's how you do it, baby.
I got to do something for Marty B here. Numbers. Oh, hold on. Don't step on it. Numbers. Okay. Hopefully that works. I don't know if that's exactly what he wanted.
Did he need a soundbite?
I saw earlier that he wanted me to say numbers. So there it is.
Wanted you to say numbers.
Yeah,
you want to give it a couple more runs just in case? Maybe one with like
question
more
mark?
Hype. Do one with a little hype and then do one with a question mark.
Numbers! Like that?
Yeah.
Is that more hype?
End on an upswing, though. Do an upswing.
Numbers?
There you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The work we do here, the guinea pigs that we are.
Production meeting during the production.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wake up, finish out the show.
And what? What the show?
Finish out the show.
Oh, finish out. I thought you said something else.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first. It's a snowstorm. Antarctica.
Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Guns over.
Woke up, man.
Are you even woke, Gons? Here at Antarctica, we are. And so this is coming. We've been tracking. This just continues to get better and better. We've been kind of laying off the Antarctica thing for a couple episodes, but it's back with a vengeance. Antarctica, we've been tracking how it's being set up by the sort of financial and social engineering elites as sort of a utopia for wokeism. It's our last bastion where Africa is sort of the last frontier of economics. Antarctica is sort of the last frontier of the human, I don't know, just experience. You've got the weddings, the gay weddings, the trans mountain climbers. You've got the women radio
Jimmy
stations,
Buffett concerts. Come on,
Jimmy Buffett concerts. You got
Margaritaville.
everything, baby. It's awesome. Of course, climate change centers around Antarctica. No matter how many times real Antarctic scientists protest, they just can't stop. And now, Gons, I don't know if you know this or not. This is at theconversation.com. People stationed in Antarctica menstruate too, and it's a struggle. Here's how we can support them. We must support menstruating people in Antarctica. You guessed it. It is people. They see, but they mess up right off the bat.
I know the first word of the article. Yeah, women. Oh,
women have been doing field work in Antarctica for more than 40 years. Yet they comprise just 25% of the expeditioners in the Australian Antarctic program. Why is that a yet? Why is yet there? You know, women can be doing field work in Antarctica for 40 years, and they comprise 25% of expeditioners in Australian Antarctic program.
It needs to be 50-50, Basil. This is simple math.
It is yet
only
because
25%.
we're supposed to feel that there's some sort of injustice. Send more menstruators down to Antarctica. We need more representation. Man, there's so many jokes I can't make right now. Despite decades of progress, historical issues with sexism and gender bias continue in extreme field environments set up for men. I don't even know exactly what that means, but I can't help but smile at it. Despite decades of progress, historical issues with sexism and gender bias continue in extreme field environments set up for men. Managing menstruation, in particular, is an overlooked challenge for women working in Antarctica and other extreme male-dominated environments.
Wait, hold on. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a comma here, extreme, comma, male-dominated environments. But I think what they're trying to imply here is that all male-dominated environments are extreme.
Well, I love the sort of insinuation. I don't even know what the problem is yet. They haven't told us.
There's not enough.
I get that it's hard. I get that it's hard down there, no matter who you are.
It doesn't matter where you are. Isn't this hard menstruation? Isn't that a
look? Yes, I'll say that. I just want to be clear here, because we're not going to scoff at this for nothing. I'm saying I understand. From what I understand, Antarctica is a hard place to be.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, managing menstruation is a difficult part of being a human. Okay? I'll even say it. Difficult part of being a woman. I understand both of those things. I don't know quite yet what the problem is.
Listen,
but
Antarctica, the way it's set up now, is just for men. It's not set up for women. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
For people who menstruate.
Thank you. That's the insinuation, is that the patriarchy has been sort of constructing Antarctica in some sort of
the development of the White Desert.
When Sir Scott in his, quest to find the Evercube, got down there in like 1880 or whatever. Whenever he got there, he's like, it sure is cold down here. It'd be a shame if somebody menstruated around here. We need to construct a situation where it is difficult to menstruate.
Oh my
gosh. Continue.
Okay, continue.
If we want to build a diverse and inclusive polar workforce, and there it is.
Woke.
If we want to build a diverse and inclusive polar workforce, we need to openly and willingly address the challenges that women, trans, and non-binary menstruators face in the field. Ha-ha! So it is people who menstruate here. I'm telling you, man, Antarctica, this is their thing. This is what they're doing. Listen to this. Listen to this sub-headline. Who gets to work in Antarctica? Ooh! Who gets to work here? Who gets the privilege to work in the most hostile environment on the planet? Over the decades, toileting has been a primary way for men to control who has access to extreme environments. Listen to that. Over the decades, decades. First of all, listen to that time frame.
Decades.
Look,
hey,
I'm
this is
all
an
for
ongoing issue.
I'm all for accepting that, like, I get it. A lot of men don't really think about the particular needs of a woman when doing things. I don't think most of the time it's not malicious. It's not to disclude anybody. They just don't think about it. Look, as a man, sometimes I don't think about these things. But if that were to be happening in Antarctica, it would be over the decades, toileting. It's like it's a new strategy. Over the centuries of male dominance, we've tried everything. How do we keep these women down, man? They just keep getting back up. They're getting rights. They can vote now. I just don't know how else to control them. Well, George, I've got a great idea. We'll control them with toileting. Over the decades, toileting has been a primary way for men to control who has access to extreme environments. For instance, here's your example.
Here we go.
Until the late 1970s, women were being told they couldn't work in Antarctica because there were no facilities for them on station. They have a hyperlink. This seems like a source I need to check.
What is this? Tand Fawn Line? What is this? This does not seem like a legit...
T&F online. This is an article written in 2017. Women need not apply. Gendered institutional change in Antarctica and outer space.
Why is space always brought up in the conversation with Antarctica?
Extreme environments. We got to keep these women out of extreme environments. Sorry, we don't have any women's restrooms. Women have been similarly excluded from space travel because their hormonal bodies were deemed to be too unpredictable by NASA's male leaders. And they love this one, which is funny, but they love this story. Sally Ride's 1983 mission on the Space Shuttle Challenger heralded a new era of progress for women's access to Antarctic fieldwork. If women could go to space, they could certainly go to Antarctica. It was around this time the British, United States, and Australian national Antarctic programs began to allow women to do fieldwork in Antarctica. Ride's mission was also uncovered NASA's inexperience with menstruation. In redesigning the space flight kit for her, NASA engineers famously asked Ride if 100 tampons would be enough for a one-week mission. Ha 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 ha, stupid men. In my latest research, I spoke to dozens of women expeditioners about how they negotiated the hurdles associated with menstruating in Antarctica. They revealed that managing menstruation remains taboo and has been made even more difficult by a culture of silence. Ooh, Antarctica sounds like a dark place. Not even just literally for most of the year.
Dark and cold.
Yes. Okay. So let's hear about how the patriarchy is keeping menstruation difficult. As one expeditioner told me, I haven't had great conversations with other women because there haven't been any that I've worked with. I've been very much by myself with these things. Now, with these things, does she mean with menstruating or with these things, these men who are keeping me down. I don't know. Life as a woman expeditioner. So why is menstruating in Antarctica difficult? Oh, thank you. Well, for one, you can only toilet in certain places due to environmental protection laws. You must collect your bodily waste in sealed containers, which are carried back to a station for incineration.
Okay. That sounds inconvenient for men, too.
This seems inconvenient just in general. You can't go create some content on the ice and walk away. You've got to put it in a bag.
That sounds more like an environmental protection law issue than a male issue, but go ahead.
So is climate change laws sexist? Maybe that's what we're doing. And Antarctica is not the only place you have to do this, by the way. There's plenty of wilderness areas where you have to do this in the U.S.
I'm pretty sure anywhere in the world, not anywhere in the world, but most public places, you can't just
public places. They're talking about, I'm talking about like protected
extreme environments.
Areas. Yeah. Because expeditioners may have to keep used menstrual products with them for several weeks in the field, they need to consider not only what products they will use, but how they will dispose of them. Okay. Well, you're going to put it in a little baggie, just like where your other content goes and where everybody else's content goes. Reusable menstrual cups are often preferred because they produce no waste and can be left in the body longer, 4 to 8 hours, than disposable products. However, cups must be emptied and cleaned at least 3 times within 24 hours to minimize the risk of toxic shock syndrome. Okay? Cups are amazing. This is, as one expeditioner explained, cups are amazing, but they are also a huge learning curve. I started learning to use them for an expedition because I'm like, I can't carry these used tampons around in my bag anymore. The hard thing is cleaning them discreetly. Okay, so the hard part is keeping it secret.
Yeah, or cleaning them.
Menstruators. Menstrual cups to you, Gonzo?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. I could not hear what you said.
Oh, so did you. I was asking, did you have a comment?
No.
Do you need me to explain menstrual cups to you?
No. I have an idea. Sure.
Menstruators must also be prepared to manage their menstruation in small shared spaces. The women I interviewed described the complexity of doing this in male-dominated teams. The first time I went to Antarctica, I was out on a boat. It was me and a group of men. It's my period, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do here? All Antarctic expeditioners wear many thick layers to protect themselves from the extreme conditions. However, women need to be able to change menstrual products without exposing their skin to the cold for prolonged periods. The participants in my study came up with creative ways to cope. I sewed myself underpants that I could Velcro on the side so that I didn't have to take all the layers off my leggings and my feet and change my undies. Well, that sounds like a good solution.
It sounds like a good, just in general, like a
it seems like all underpants should have some Velcro on them, honestly. To avoid these challenges during long-duration expeditions, menstruators often rely on menstrual suppression technologies. Menstrual suppression, to get a suppressor on that sucker. These include the combined oral contraceptive pill or long-acting reversible contraception, such as an intrauterine device or injection. These methods prevent a period and pregnancy, and this is critical in extreme environments where pregnancy is extremely high risk. Okay, I mean that seems like an
excuse for some eugenics.
Right here,
some depopulation agenda.
The feminists, they would want the access to the contraceptive pill or some other long-acting reversible contraception. This seems like a total feminist win. These methods prevent, and you won't get pregnant. That's good. LARC, L-A-R-C is
called LARC.
That's
really?
The long. What does this mean here? They just had it. The long-acting reversible contraception.
Yeah.
LARC is convenient because it requires no extra supplies and little maintenance following insertion. That said, breakthrough bleeding or spotting can be a side effect. Having my period in Antarctica was a nightmare. Look, I believe you. It seems like a nightmare. Just in general, but
just
especially
in general, you don't have to be in Antarctica for it to be a nightmare. But
somebody told me that they had an Depo-Provera Depo-Provera injection before they went, and I thought, well, that wouldn't be a bad idea to not have a period for that particular time. But I had my period the whole time I was in the field. Yeah, that's the side effect of some of those things. How to support menstruators. Okay, so that is what's wrong with menstruation into Antarctica.
It's hard.
Shall we review? Because I did not quite catch which one was sort of a malicious attack.
Well,
from
you're
the
just always around men.
You're around men. Yes, the presence of men is a threat.
Yeah.
We've already established that. The very presence of a man is a threat. I guess, let's see here. The reusable cups, yeah, they didn't want to change it because there's men around.
The learning curve of the cup.
The existence. Look, lots of people use the cup even not in Antarctica. That's not a very good excuse. So I'm going to say
it's got to learn it.
The existence of men around cleaning the cup, that's a problem. Okay. They must be, yeah. The small spaces, okay. The spaces are small. There's no Velcro in the underwear, because they got to wear thick layers. The patriarchy made it cold in Antarctica, and that's why it's our fault, Gons, for making it cold in Antarctica. All right, and being there. As a man, I want to apologize to all the women out there for making it cold in Antarctica, and also other men being there, making it very inconvenient. And then that's it. I guess.
So
the
how
other
do we
one
support
is
them? Let's move on. How do we support these menstruators?
Okay. This is how we fix the problem, folks. This is how we're going to make Antarctica inclusive for whoever wants to menstruate down there. Apart from their other already demanding work, my research shows women must also undertake additional psychological and physical labor to manage menstruation in extreme environments. Hey, okay. Whether in Antarctica or on military deployment, women will often, here's a bullet point list, change their menstrual products without privacy or adequate sanitation. Carry bloody menstrual products around with them in the field for a long time. Okay. Improvise menstrual products when none are available.
Creative.
Yeah, I was going to say that's an industrious young woman. I'll give her credit for that. Keep menstrual products in their bodies for longer than recommended because they aren't provided with adequate toilet stops.
Maybe that's what it is. The distribution.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Not enough toilet stops, not enough bathroom breaks. And look, that would be an easy one to trivialize. I'm not going to trivialize that. I think all people in Antarctica should get as many potty breaks as they want or need.
Well, you got to report all of it, though, because it's environmentally protected area. So you can't just leave a trail of you with your name.
No, you got to carry it with you.
The snow.
Just like everybody else. Yeah. Alter their hormonal balance with medication to make menstruation less inconvenient. Okay. The bottom line is this. Menstruation in these settings has largely been treated as an individual problem and not a site for organizational attention. This needs to change. Some simple changes can be applied in any field environment where menstruation. 2. Listen up, organizations. Australian government, American government, Argentinian government, the hidden Nazis, UFOs, Nephilim penguins, all of you, listen up. These are some simple changes that can be applied in any field environment where menstruation is difficult for women. Ooh, another whoopsie doodles. You're supposed to say people. Organizations should make it a priority to 1. Destigmatize menstruation and acknowledge the unique needs of diverse menstruators, including trans people and non-binary folk. I didn't hear anything about the unique needs of those other ones, but I think more potty breaks really solves kind of most of the problems. 2, update field manuals to include relevant information about toileting and menstruation. Okay, put it in the books. I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Everybody. I think that is part of the problem. I think a lot of these men, they're getting in trouble for being patriarchal, domineering misogynists, and they just literally have no idea what's going on because evidently these women are hiding it from them.
Yeah, maybe it's a communication issue a little bit too.
Communication would be helpful. Putting it in the instruction manual.
I'll say because this is like just an experience as a man here. I was much younger, but I didn't know the full scope of this stuff here. But I remember as a competitive swimmer, as a young competitive swimmer, I remember judging girls when they would just get out and run to the bathroom. Like, why? What? You guys are slacking off? I had no idea. So communication would have been important.
Body breaks.
Yeah.
Yes, especially in high school, it's sort of excessive body breaks were never explained to us until it was too late.
Yeah, until it was too late.
3, provide menstrual health education to all expeditioners, especially cisgender men leading field teams. That's great. That's good. That's good. Yeah, education. Love it. 4, make toilet stops standard operating practice.
How is it not already? If you're out in some...
I'm going to say the same thing. Toilet stops should be a standard operating practice. 5, provide menstruators with free menstrual products and make period underwear available as part of field gear. I was going to bring up the period underwear thing. Okay, free menstrual products, it's interesting how that always becomes a part of it. And that's, that's fine. I'm already paying for Joe Manchin to give his oil companies free money. Yeah. I'm already paying for Kristen Sinema to give money to her people lobbying her.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, the big menstrual product. Big menstrual, like big pharma. You got big menstrual products trying to control women.
You know what? In solidarity with the women folk, I will say, I don't think we've ever gone into it, but there are ludicrous conspiracies connected to Big Tampon. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get talked about enough. Maybe that'll be my social justice mission. We'll go into the menstrual
deep rabbit
conspiracy.
Trails of Big Tampon.
Exactly, and period underwear. Make period underwear available or as part of field gear. I think that's a good idea. You see, these period underwear thingies, right? It's just kind of it's a whole super absorbent thingy, piece of underwear. You heard about these? You seen these?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. There you go. That's your pad. So all of these solutions, not exactly sure why this is sort of a men are evil type of thing. You should take more toilet breaks and make recommendations for different gear. That's kind of the main thing, and some education. Now, I will say I've spent my own amount of time in extreme conditions, Gonzo. You know this.
Yes.
Long time listeners will know this. I've spent too long in some extreme conditions. One of them was weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in the wilderness. And there were menstruating people there. And this was kind of just like when you're out in extreme conditions with a group of people for 5 weeks, the barriers, lots of the social barriers, they break down sort of naturally.
Sure.
You're in extreme conditions. Everybody is sort of, you're outside of society. You're in survival mode.
Yeah,
you're working hard to just live.
Naked and afraid. Come on.
And honestly, menstruation becomes the least interesting problem that you have.
Sure.
And so when on many of my long extreme expeditionary things, sadly not to Antarctica yet, I did not. Now look, perhaps they were keeping it a secret, but there was conversations about menstruation, and there was special pit stops made, and there were these types of things. So I think the problem is with these Antarctican things is certainly a part of this is we cannot stop for long or else we will all freeze to death and die. Other than that, everything seems the same. So the article ends here. I recently supported the Australian Antarctic program to revise its field manual and help reconsider how field environments can be sensitized to the needs of menstruators. I don't know if I like the word sensitized, but okay. This is an important first step, but success will only come when inclusive operational measures happen by default. The big message? Do not worry, women. You are welcome in the Great White Desert. No longer will the patriarchy hold you down.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Penguins. That goes for penguins, too.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to be back on Wednesday with another great show for you. And, please come back. We love having you here. And thank you to our executive producers, all of our producers, but especially our executive producers, starting with executive producer Das Farmer, executive producer Dame Lynn, Lady of the Lakes, and executive producer Darren S. for making this show doable. We continue to be at the mercy of those who get value out of this show, which evidently is not everyone. So if you get value out of this show, you want to see it to keep going, you want us to be back on Wednesday, you think that the world is better for Canary Cry News Talk existing, please consider producing the show. You can produce in all sorts of ways, your time, your talent, or your treasure. To become a financial producer, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And if you're an artist, send in your art to canarycryradio@gmail.com. And but you can also support the show with your time. We've got a wonderful elite squadron of producers who help out with our back end stuff. 90% of the things we do outside of the production of the show, we could not do if it weren't for these producers. And let's start by thanking the Clippies.
Clippy on those videos.
Thanks. That's right. Thank you to Emsworth and Faye Liverin for managing the Canary Cry Clips channel, as well as doing all the clipping, the editing for this show. And folks, if you have not done it yet, head on over to YouTube or Odyssey and search for Canary Cry Clips. You can find all these episodes clipped out into shareable segments, where it's easy to review the information. If you miss something, go back, do your research. Also easy to share on your social media or with your friends or family or church folk. The Canary Cry Clips channel is an excellent resource for anybody who's trying to be some sort of beacon of truth in the world. Canary Cry Clips. Also, our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right, our timestamps. They go into so much of our back-end stuff, and our timestampers are some of the most hardworking people around. And thank you to Pocojoyo and Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps for episode 518 last Friday.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate that.
Let's see here. Don't forget to go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
You know the deal. Head on over to canarycrymeetups.com. You can see the meetups. We got to add a few more on there, but the next one is the Houston Galveston meetup. Email davyfrost@gmail.com to RSVP. And please do RSVP. It really helps the hosts, with some logistics. Even if you're not sure if you can go, just let them start a conversation. Tell them you're thinking of going, et cetera, et cetera. That's right. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is fun.
That's right. Leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts is really helpful to us, not just for knowing what you guys think about it, but if we get 5 or more reviews a week, it does things for us that we cannot do for ourselves. It activates the system, the Apple Podcast system, to share the show with people automatically who have never seen it before or heard of it before. I mean, it's really an incredible way to help spread the show. There's nothing Gons and I can do to help that situation. It is all up to you guys. So when we don't get the reviews, that just means there's hundreds of people who didn't get a chance to check out the show on Apple Podcasts. So please head on over to Apple Podcasts. Every Apple device has it. It's a little purple icon. click on that, search for Canary Cry News Talk, and leave a rating and a review. And that would be wonderful. And it really makes me go ooh woo when you do it. That's right. And we'll thank you and read your reviews on Friday, too. So let's try to shoot for 5.
Let's do it.
Let's see here. Thank you to our social media gal, Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers, for helping us, making sure we can get our art on the social medias. Things like that's really helpful. And, of course, Jan, thanks for the links. I feel like I was supposed to ask for a producer of something, and I can't remember what it was.
It's probably the clips thing for the Twitch.
Oh, there is that. Yeah, there is that. Yeah, so we're going to send in our appeal to Twitch here, try to get our Twitch channel back. It would really, really, really be helpful, guys, if we could find, some clips. The YouTube channel is quite new, so I'm not sure if the YouTube channel will have everything we need. It might be helpful to go back into the archives of the RSS feed, or unfortunately, YouTube deleted a bunch of our episodes, but there's a bunch of them still on YouTube. We got to find some clips of us, speaking out against QAnons, being skeptical of the microchips, of the bleach thing. I don't know how we're going to do it, but if anybody out there wants to help us with that, help us out by listening to the show and help us find these time codes, because I would really like to get the Twitch channel back. Ugh, I can't believe they just went to a straight indefinite detention. That's not fun. But if you want to produce the show with your time, which means just lending your skills or your time, we've had producers who have, they've said they've want to commit to the show, but they didn't know how. And we actually kind of helped them get training and a skill. And they did some stuff for us, and they actually went and got jobs with the skills that they learned from helping out the show. So we like to make it a family event. If you want to help out the show, the best way to do it is you can either email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com, or even better, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. And at the bottom of that page, there's a form, a little survey. If you fill that out, it goes right to a little list of people that I can reach out to. So go try that out. Try that on for size, will you? And other than all that, just share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your church friends and your church family. Share it with your pastor. Ooh, what a stepping out in faith that would be. Is your pastor going to be okay with you sending him or her, depending on what flavor you like, Canary Cry News Talk stuff? Can they handle it? I don't know. That might be fun. That might be a fun challenge. The Canary Cry News Talk send a clip to your pastor challenge. People will learn a lot about their pastors, and their pastors will learn a lot about them.
Yeah.
By sending the show to their pastor. So that's one way you can do it. You don't have to share the show in all the regular ways, the social media, things like that. I mean, that really helps. We hope you do that. But if you want to find a way to share the show that is unique, that is powerful, that will tell the world exactly what you're here to do, and that is to help people wake up from the illusion that corporate mainstream news is here for our benefit. You can share the show by going to your pastor, sending him a clip, having him or her call you and ask if you need any counseling or help with anything. And then you take that request, you go to counseling with your spiritual counseling with your pastor there. And all you got to do is bring the list of resources that we provide you within our newsletter before every show, with mainstream reporting on the things that we cover in this show. And boom, now your pastor is going to get obsessed. He's going to get obsessed and realize that he or she has been diluted by the lukewarm messaging coming from the mainstream, and they will catch fire. They will catch fire for letting people know that Canary Cry News Talk is kingdom work, much to the
disagreement of people.
disagreement of Gons and I's former boss and, church worker who did not think our podcast was kingdom work. See what your pastor thinks. That would be very interesting to know. But either way, go ahead and share the show. If you need any more instructions, we like to call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
And if your pastor is Pastor Joel Olstein,
oh yeah,
send him a message.
Yeah.
Send him a message and say, oh, I have a message for you, Pastor. Basil's coming for you.
Yeah, okay.
You're going down.
You're going down. It's a long-standing goal that we have incrementally made progress towards, but we still need a lot of work to catch
long-standing
Joel
rivalry
Olstein.
that he doesn't know about yet.
Yeah.
Right. Any last words, Guns?
We didn't mention our Canary Cry calendar tells us that today is International Cat Day, so there's that. But you know what? Next Wednesday, the 17th, is International or National Black Cat Appreciation Day, so I think maybe we can do something there. Another show
Indeed.
day. A lot of cat days this month. And also, this just in, former President Donald Trump says FBI raided his Florida home.
I was just going to say that. Apparently, Trump done got raided, folks. Mm-hmm. Wednesday is going to be a fun show, so make sure to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Sadly, the virus itself, particularly the variant called Omicron, is a type of vaccine. That is, it creates both B cell and T cell immunity.
And a resounding paka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. We have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. We have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird? You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... Gons. I am so hot. So hot.
Canary cry till I die. Never try to tell about spies. Supply faith through Wi-Fi. Specify why they misapply telecast. News talk on podcast. Packed with bird's eye view of the truth. Make sure that you produce for those who sleuth. And do it if you don't leave review. Produce all the time. It's not a crime. Guns, let's hear that chime. Basil, it's showtime. Throw that punchline. Here comes the headline. Produce all the time. It's not a crime. Guns, let's hear that chime. Basil, it's showtime. Throw that punchline. Here comes the headline.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Then I saw the beast and the kings of the earth. They gathered their armies to make war against the one seated on the horse. But the beast was captured, and with it the false prophet. For he has carried out the signs which deceived the people into receiving the mark of the beast and worshipping its image. Therefore these two were thrown alive into the lake of fire. Then I saw an angel holding a great chain. He seized the dragon, who is called Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He was thrown into the bottomless pit, and it was sealed over him, so that he might not deceive the nations any longer, until the 1,000 years were ended. Then I saw the souls of those who had been killed for the testimony of Christ and for the word of God. And I saw those who had not worshipped the beast or its image, and had not received its mark. They rose to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not rise until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is the one who shares in the first resurrection. The second death will have no power over them. They will be priests of God and of Christ, and they will reign with him for 1,000 years. When the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison. He will come out to deceive the nations that are at the ends of the earth. He will gather them for the final assault, and their numbers will be as the sand of the sea. They marched across the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire, where the beast and the false prophet were, and there they will be tormented forever. Then, behold, a great white throne, and the one who was upon it made the earth and the sky vanish from his presence. He threw death and Hades into the lake of fire, and anyone whose name was not found in the book of life, he too was thrown into the lake of fire. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old had passed away. I saw the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God, and a loud voice called from the throne and said, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death shall be no more, neither shall there be mourning, nor pain, for all former things have passed away. And behold, I am making all things new. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give the water of life without payment. The one who conquers will have this heritage. I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly and the faithless, as for murderers and sorcerers, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death.
Nice one. I have a heart out. We actually hit it. Jealous?
CanaryCryRadio.com/support